Oh boy, yet again, another day, another opportunity that DSP believes he has to go ahead and piggyback or eat off someone else's coattails, if you will. But let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so good afternoon, good morning, good evening. This is DSP News, the unreliable ones. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the newsroom and welcome to the Goutopian News Network, your unreliable source for DSP News. This is a Snort report brought to you by SnortBucks Coffee Company, best beverage company ever. Here we go. So, in my continuous campaign to go ahead and get DSP's FGC quote unquote accomplishments to be brought into the sunlight and be purified for what they are, we're continuing with DSP's hate of the FGC for not seeing things his way, and also, wherever he can, try to piggyback off other people's thoughts. In this particular case, the victim of choice, being another brother, another Negro, would be Sanford Kelly. Sanford Kelly's reputation is vast, and it's out there. He's a very well-respected member of the FGC, multiple tournament winner. He's an Evo tournament. He's actually an Evo tournament winner. He's one of the 4 gods of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. He's actually, theoretically, he's the last emperor, or if you will, or he's the last person to be initiated into godhood, which would be, now that I think about it, the 4 gods, or is it 5, actually, now that I think about it? Pretty sure it's 4. 4 gods are Duck Doe, Justin Wong, IFC Yipes, and Sanford Kelly. Pretty confident that's the only 4. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and move on to our segment, and then let me check real fast. You know what I'm saying? We're all about our fact checking here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into my favorite segment. Hopefully, one of your favorite segments as well. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my TED Talk. Now, with that being said, I'll take a minute to go back and look real fast at the winners, or the Evo winners, I should say, of Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Pretty confident there's only 4 gods. And I'm pretty sure there's 4 gods, and that's it. Because, like I said, Duck Doe won the first one, and then Justin has the most wins out of all of them. There's Yipes with his win that one year, which is fucking crazy. And then, if I'm pretty sure, Sanford Kelly is the last god to be put into godhood, or the last emperor. Give me just a second, I'll take a look. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go into a bit of a speed run here. Like I said, we're going to focus on Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in particular and whatnot, and then we'll go from there, starting at in the year 2000, which is when B4 happened, by the way. Let's see, there was Duck Doe in 2000, 2001, which was B5, was Justin Wong. 2002, 2003, 2004 was all Justin Wong. 2005, Duck Doe came back to claim his second title. In 2006, it was Justin Wong. In 2007 was was IFC Yipes. And what I only put his name's out there, but let me just say that. In 2007, it was IFC Yipes. In 2008, it was Justin Wong yet again. In 2009, it was Sanford Kelly, yet again making him the 4th and final god. And then in 2010, which was like the last kind of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 tournament in its heyday, they like to say, it was Justin Wong. And then in 2005, this year, a guy won. I want to tell you his name was Chaos, I think. I think he may have won this year because, they brought Marvel 2 back. But I don't know if they consider that as a mainstay. So that puts him into godhood, which would theoretically make him the 5th god. But if they don't, and we're going with just the 4 crowns, then Sanford Kelly was the last god. So there you go on that. On top of that, Sanford has a very prominent background in Street Fighter 4, played a bit of Street Fighter 5, I'm pretty sure he plays some Street Fighter 6. So he has the pedigree and he has the background that what he says carries weight. Anyway, somehow, some way, DSP has figured out a way to piggyback off of him on a quote that he believes Sanford took from him. But DSP has admitted multiple times that he doesn't follow the FGC that close. So how does he really know? And what makes him think that Sanford Kelly actually watches any of his shit? Sorry, content. Sorry, non-tent. And so how does he? I don't know. We're making a lot of assumptions here with little to no proof or evidence, but semantics. In any case, we'll get into this. We'll see what's what. This right here, I think, is just another continuation of the button check situation, which at the time that I'm recording this in September, DSP has not gotten a response out of Ernesto or Button Check for good reason. Button Check's not there to fucking be his spokesperson and shit. He's not going to give him a platform to where they can have an actual conversation. I wouldn't think. Maybe Button Check does actually secure an interview. Maybe he don't. We'll see, but I doubt it. I don't see it worth Button Check's time in particular. He could be talking to far more prominent and more influential players or just figures in the FGC than DSP. But we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And let's move on along positively with our situation. Let's keep it old school. I'm saying let's give you guys the ambiance that you guys are kind of used to. And let's see, this should be our video here. Hold on just a second. All right, so let's see where we're at with this real fast, and then let's hop to it. Sorry about that. Had a bit of a delay. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, first this is brought to us by Raw Phil. Big ups to Diggs for cutting this up. Darkside Phil speaks on Street Fighter 6 again and tries to feed off of Sanford Kelly to make a point. This is from March 26th of 2025, the year of the snake. So that's a thing. And without further ado, here we go.
All right. Our next story of the day is kind of interesting. All right. Here's why our next story is interesting. A few weeks ago, I covered a topic regarding Street Fighter 6. It was actually about a month ago at this point now, I think. And the topic was this. I felt that Street Fighter 6 was being ruined because too many people in the modern day rush to the internet and share the meta of these fighting games right away.
That's kind of bullshit. And now look at it this way for a minute. It's funny how he wants to blame people for putting the information, putting out the knowledge, so on and so forth. He wants to blame them for putting that information out there. But he doesn't blame people for who go out there and seek it. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, why DSP even started doing content himself. He said he needed help. He needed to be handheld through a game, and he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure it out on his own. Sorry about that. So he went to YouTube to look to see if he could find help, and he couldn't find the adequate help that he needed. So he decided to make content on his own. So off of the basis of that alone, he wants to criticize and talk down to people who put that information out for other people to build their community, to strengthen their community, and make it better for everybody else. That's what he's bitching about. He's mad that his pay to win Bison was figured out by a much smarter, by a much more experienced player. They made a video, they put it out there, and then all of a sudden he couldn't catch his easy wins. That's what started all of that nonsense, by the way. And he's still been bitching about it. Because he wanted to take advantage of players who didn't have enough character experience. He wanted to take advantage of them so he could pad his own record. Keep that in mind. That's what all of this is about.
And because they do, there is no actual time frame when people have discovery, where they play the game and they learn it.
Now, keep in mind, this same monkey only says he has 2 days a week, or 2 days a week to play. So everybody else has an immense advantage over him, which isn't fair, apparently, because he can only play 2 days and everybody else can play 7 days, and so on and so forth. So he has that disadvantage as well, or at least according to him anyway.
At their own pace, and different people discover different things and play differently. And then those strategies are refined through competition. Instead, everything about it.
Online is competition. Online play is, what is he literally talking about? Or is this back in 2005? Where there's just a tournament scene and there wasn't really a whole lot of online play, or at least it wasn't as widespread as it came later on. Why does he want everything to be stagnant so he can thrive? Has anybody ever asked him that? I mean, someone probably did, but they probably got lean in manual banned. And they were probably a troll too, so that's a thing.
Game is known, within the first few weeks, the meta is discovered, and then these characters just aren't interesting anymore. Notably, Mai Shiranui.
Keep in mind, most people don't even play the meta, but keep that in mind. That's the thing. That's like saying that every person who plays Call of Duty plays the meta, and they clearly don't. But semantics.
When she first came out, no one knew what to do with her for a couple of days. But then within a few days, all the breakdown videos were online, all the footage was online, and therefore the character just wasn't that interesting anymore. Okay?
Even though, arguably, at least according to him, Mai is still his best character and may very well be his strongest. And why is that, ladies and gentlemen? Because her Shuriken hits twice, or the EX version anyway, hits twice, and it hits at a wonky angle where it can open somebody up even if they're blocked. That's it. That's literally the gimmick, to be honest. Now, don't be wrong. She actually has some pretty cool, some pretty good tools, and she has some pretty interesting and some pretty cool setups. He don't know none of them though because he don't care to know them. He just wants to go for the easy win tactic to, by proxy, get the easy win.
At that time, I started a discussion, and I said, "Did you notice that basically with these fighting games today, there is no real originality? It's not like when you're playing a fighting game back in the day." Once one person would pick Ryu, and their gameplay style with Ryu in Street Fighter 2 would be, I'm keeping away. I'm just going to pelt you with fireballs, and I'm going to uppercut with a Shoryuken when you jump, and I'm going to try to sweep, and that's it. I'll keep you away. That's my Ryu gameplay. But then someone else would pick Ryu, and that Ryu would actually do mid-range footsies, strategies, try to mix you up, do combos, all right? And then another person would pick Ryu, and they'd have another unique strategy, okay? So you would play old-school fighting games, and they would all feel completely unique and different depending on who you were playing.
You mean depending on the game engine as well? Because you can only do so much of what the engine allows you to do, to be honest. You have to work within that structure. That's the reason why he's never been shit at Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because it has way too much freedom. And for someone like DSP and whatnot, too much freedom is too many options. You know what I'm saying? Too many options leads to too many choices, which leads to a learning curve that he could never be able to grasp. And that's the reason why he plays the way he plays. And gets beat up the way he gets beat up.
A one Chun-Li would be rush down, constantly trying to hit you and throw you into throw loops. Another Chun-Li would be complete keep away with fireballs and her up kicks. And it felt great because of that. Fighting games felt...
No, it didn't. The reason why he's saying that is because you only had so many options. There was only so many ways to come at him. That's literally what he's saying. But he's not going to come out and say that because, one, he's stupid, and two, he doesn't want to actually give away what the actual problem with modern fighting games are. That's what that is. Now, keep in mind, the very game that he's later going to go ahead and use as a point of reference, Street Fighter 4. Keep in mind, he wasn't shit in Street Fighter 4. He wasn't shit in Street Fighter 3, or Third Strike, I should say. But he damn sure weren't shit in Street Fighter 4. And there was a multitude of people who became character specialists and played that one particular character differently. You could have 7 or 8 people who played Ryu, or Rufus, or or Yun, or Chun-Li, or any character that was just really good back in those days, and they all played it differently. That's the argument he's trying to make. What he's not saying, though, is the game. He's not trying to blame the game itself, per se, and more importantly, the options. There are just a lot of options, and a lot of people want to play and win given the money that's out there. But that doesn't mean everybody plays the same. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody plays like Punk. Not everybody plays like fucking Smug. Not everybody plays like... Most of the Japanese players don't play anything alike. And what he would know that if he actually watched the shit. But he don't. Just because he sees something doesn't mean he's looking at it, if that makes sense.
Interesting, different, unique, and fresh. You would go to a tournament and play someone, and you'd be like, wow, I've never experienced what I just saw before, and I learned something. So your trip out to the tournament felt like it was worth it.
Well, now you get to play online, and you can play anybody from anywhere. Yet again, the options. The fact that there is far more accessibility. He's literally, he's talking like a gatekeeper, because that's what he is. He's literally a gatekeeper. He's someone who believes that there should be different classes of people, and only certain people should have certain access, certain advantages, certain privileges over other people.
Because you would actually learn. Today, these games have been so dumbed down, and they're so easy to play with absolute...
If they're so easy to play, then why is this conversation even happening? If it was easy to play, then he should be able to beat 75 to 80% of the people that he plays, but he can't. He's barely scraping by with 50. And keep in mind, that's over 3 different platforms, by the way. PS5, Xbox, Xbox, then PS5, then PC. And he's barely breaking out. He's breaking average, if you will, or breaking even, if you will. Because I think he's somewhere between like 52, maybe 53, and like 57%, give or take. But that's only because he's been padding his stats yet again over 3 platforms, which isn't very good. That's not showing a whole lot of growth. He might be consistently bad, but that's not showing a whole lot of growth.
Absolutely no skill required to do any of the combos or moves. They're all easy mode shit. There's
combos that he can't do, nor can he defend against, nor can he figure out. Keep that in mind.
no actual practice really required outside of sitting in the lab for an hour or two.
That's called practice, and you've actually tried to do that yourself, and you still can't get shit down. But then again, how good are you really going to be when you don't have the character or the combo dummy, if you will, on all block to actually know that the combos that you're doing are hitting properly? Instead, he just basically leaves it at neutral. So every time he throws something out, it gets the hit. So he gets the satisfaction of knowing that he can't really do anything wrong because, hey, look, it hits. He doesn't even know how to lab properly. Doesn't know how to train properly. Doesn't understand frame data. Doesn't understand anything. Bare minimum basic shit. And that goes back to his Super Turbo days. He barely has a grasp of that game.
You've learned everything. And with everyone posting all of the meta strategies online right away, the era of discovery is gone.
It's actually not. And on top of that, he can't even say that he's at a disadvantage because he has access to that information just like everybody else. So if someone has figured out your character, right, then that means you're forced to break new ground with said character and figure out new tactics and strategies. But he don't want to do that, though. He wants everything to be stagnant the way it was. He wants everything to be fresh to him and for everybody else to be ignorant so he can take advantage of it. So he's not even in an upper class or a higher class because of actual merit or because of actual any skill or talent. It's because they have less information than me, so that makes me superior. Doesn't sound like a colonist. I don't know what it is.
The era of individuality has left the building.
How is it the era of individuality is gone when there are more people with more information accessible to them than there ever has been? And based off of that, because think about it, if everybody has access to it, that's baseline information now. Now you have a chance to grow off of that. This idiot, quite literally, can't get past level 1. He's mad that everybody's where he's at, and they're building, and he don't know how to build. He thinks, oh, there should be a year or 2 that should go by, and then people figure out what's what. No one's got time for that. The internet itself doesn't have time for that. No one's going to wait on you or anybody else. Father Time is undefeated for a reason. So either you're going to get yourself up to the standard or you're going to lag behind. And that's exactly what he's doing. And he's having a bitch fit over it. And he really thinks that, oh, people putting out information for the masses. He really wants to put that out there that that's a bad thing. Well, if that's the case, then what's the point of having a community then? But see, he don't want to say that. You don't want to come out and tell you, oh, well, it's bad to have a community. Everybody should just have their own little individual things and that's it. Okay, then what's the point of having tournaments then if you don't have a kingdom? Or if you don't have the kingdom, sorry. What's the point of having, if you don't have a community, what's the point of having tournaments? Everybody could just have tournaments in their own little spots, and what the fuck's the point of a nationals then? There's no community around it. If you guys don't want anybody to share information, oh, you want this showcase of immortals bullshit where everybody from their little boroughs, right, or their little kingdoms or their little fiefdoms go to this one spot for this great tourney, you know what I'm saying, Gout of Thrones type shit, and then the best of the best get to go ahead and display all their shit, which is going to be broadcast, which is going to be recorded, which is going to eventually come out for everybody else, and then they learn off that. Why would you want all that information to be stagnant like that? At a time and a place where you can speak to more people than you've ever been able to speak to before. You can reach out to people quicker than you've ever had a chance to do so. He has a problem with that. Why does he have such a problem with progress? Can anybody answer me on that? Because that's literally what he's trying to fight against, progress. That's weird. It's real weird.
Why is it that every time that we play Street Fighter 6 and we face a Cammy.
Who's we? You mean it's just you? I don't see fucking Jax out there getting beat up. I don't see Jaden getting beat up. I don't see Only Ice Coffee getting beat up. I just see you getting beat up. So where's this we coming from?
A Jury, a JP. It always feels like you're fighting exactly the same person. Despite the fact you're not, you're actually fighting the same strategies.
And you're losing to it. Why is that? Great screenshot, by the way. Why are you losing to the same strategies over and over again, according to you? Because see, now this shows you how stupid he is. You're going to sit there and make the argument that these guys play the same characters the same way, and it's bad. Okay, why can't you beat it then if they all play the exact same way? Why are you not learning, if you will, from those strategies and tactics if they're all you doing the exact same thing? See how he ain't sat there and basically pigeonholed himself? He ain't backed himself up against a corner? Because now he has to explain why he himself isn't growing. Why isn't he learning? Why isn't he adapting? Why isn't he overcoming? Oh, well, everybody uses the same strategy. So if you realize that everybody's using the exact same strategy, why can't you beat that strategy? Why can't you figure it out? See, now we got a problem. Because now if you're saying everybody plays the exact same way and you can't beat this one tactic that everybody is quote-unquote using, then what does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? By definition, then not everybody's playing the exact same way. Either you're incompetent, you're stupid, you're ignorant, you're whatever word you want to choose, or actually, let's go ahead and put that caveat in there. Or you're not good enough. You're not smart enough, you're not talented enough, you're just not it. You're not it. You're not him. And that's why you can't get past it. That's why you can't beat them. Let's see what he says.
The same stuff over and over. The game's been designed that way. Okay? This is a major problem, in my opinion. This is why people are bored of playing games like Street Fighter 6 and saying, wow, this game sucks. My came out, the game was refreshed for 2-3 weeks, and now no one cares about Street Fighter 6 anymore. It's like, who cares?
If you go off that argument, you could say that for any character, to be honest with you. And yet they still have people playing it, and they still have people buying it. But no one plays it, though. So either this retard doesn't understand what the definition of no one playing it means, or he's taking people who have gripes on Twitter or on Reddit and then tries to spin that to fit his narrative, which would make him dishonest and make him a liar. Oh no, that's something that Phil Burnell's already known for being. Imagine that.
When's Elena coming out? The next DLC character. Jeez, right?
And keep in mind, like in Call of Duty, there's different facets to all this shit. You think everybody who plays fighting games is entrenched into the communities that are online for that? Are they on the forums? Are they on Reddit? Are they on fucking, are they in Discord? Are they on Twitter or X or whatever? No. Just like with Call of Duty. Not everybody who plays Call of Duty is tapped into what's going on Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Not everybody's tapped into the meta. You have a large demographic who still just plays the way they want to play. But see, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't have that nuance, right? If you don't have that there, then someone can spin the narrative any way they see fit. And you'll kind of go, you may go along with it because, okay, well, I guess that seems right. But then DSP has the nerve to say that people like me take him out of context. As long as my videos are, I don't see how that's a thing, but all right, whatever.
So, at the time that I was talking about this, Button Check, who is a online content creator on YouTube who covers fighting games, actually picked up the story and actually covered a video or two of mine where I talked about it, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit about the discussion. And where we ended the discussion was simple. The end of the discussion was thus. DSP is saying this now, but no one wants to ever listen to DSP. Everyone wants to turn DSP into the butt of a joke.
You are the butt of a joke.
No one likes him.
No one likes you.
Right? Especially in the fighting game community.
Well, yeah, because you shit talk them and trash them all the time without actually bringing anything of substance to the conversation. You just shit on them because, oh, they don't like me, so I don't like them. Okay, that's pretty immature, and for that, you can be discounted. You put yourself in a position to be ignored. Don't be mad at anybody but yourself on that, because that's your fault.
So as you guys know, I'm literally not a part of the fighting game community.
So then why the fuck are you sitting there trying to placate to a community that don't like you and you're not part of? Why would they care about what you say when you don't contribute anything to their community? Actually, if anything, you're a deficit to their community. You bash their community at every chance you get. How is it that someone who is not tapped into the competitive community of a game have the nerve to bitch and complain about it when he's barely a casual? Make that make sense.
I don't go to tournaments. I don't play games competitively. So why on earth does anyone in the fighting game community have a grudge against me? I have no fucking clue.
They don't have a grudge. Well, most of them don't have a grudge against you. You're just ignored. So you yourself have already come up with these reasons of why you're not part of the FGC, why you don't participate in the FGC, and why you have nothing to offer to it, but yet you feel the need to be able to run your mouth and they should just go ahead and take that shit as the gospel. Make that make sense.
I have not been a part of the FGC for literally, like, I would argue, 15 years.
Okay, so you're a has-been, nobody, never was, never would be, never could be, and yet you still feel the need to be able to talk your shit, and people should care? You can have your opinion, but no one has to care? Huh? Okay.
Like, the last time I cared about competitive Street Fighter was probably around the era of Street Fighter 4. So why?
That's not true. All you did was make content out of it because you could put out the content out there before everybody else. On top of you stealing other people's tournament footage and whatnot. Something he won't ever bring up, by the way. But sorry. Besides him stealing people's tournament footage, which he won't bring up, but it's something that he's done, and he's actually gotten shitted on for it. So womp womp to that.
Anyone in the FGC gives two shits and doesn't like me and has a grudge against me and what I have to say.
I don't think that it's that they don't like you or they don't have a grudge against you or whatever. It's just you're not relevant. You never did anything for the FGC anyway, except for try to self-enrich yourself and nothing else. He did for self, and he got out of it exactly what he put into it. Nothing. Good on him. End of story. So yet again, he's not actually giving you a reason why they should care. What he is trying to do is try to build up this narrative that they hate me, they have a grudge against me, this, that, and the third, but he won't tell you why. And then he's going to sit there and try to play ignorant, as he usually does, and say, well, I don't know why these people have a problem with me. Well, give us a reason or give us an example of how they have a problem with you. Oh, well, when I say something, they don't listen to me. You just told us you've been removed from the community for over 15 fucking years. So so your concept or your construct of, oh, well, they have a grudge against me, they hate me, where does that even really hold anything? It doesn't hold any water. You haven't been around for 15 fucking years. You don't compete. You don't do anything, nor do you care about the competitive community. So why should anybody listen to you? Make it make sense.
I don't know why people would say, oh, it's DSP, write him off. I don't know. I mean, I was back there in the formative years of Street Fighter, grinding it out in arcades, playing.
You've been removed from the community for 15 plus years. I know you're retarded, but what part of this do you not understand? These people don't know you, and they don't care to know you. And the people who were around during your day don't want to know you either, unless they want to pity you. And even then, I feel like that could be, at least for them anyway, it might be a bit egregious. So yet again, ladies and gentlemen, what are we actually complaining about here?
In tournaments, running tournaments, the track record is there and the history is there. But just because I'm DSP, apparently I'm not supposed to be paying attention. Right? Or no, don't listen to this guy.
You said you don't care about the competitive community in the first place. Now you're saying you're not supposed to pay attention? You said you don't care. I'm confused.
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
You don't.
Fine.
Fine.
So anyway.
Cope sip.
We had the discussion, all right, that back when Street Fighter 5.
Are you cutting your gin with that? Because it's funny. Sometimes he's pouring flavored seltzer or flavored, I guess it is seltzer water, but you know what I mean? It's flavored water into his cup, and then sometimes he has stuff in that little canteen thermos type thing. So what are we doing, Phil? You got gin in the thermos, and then we're putting the flavored water. We're pouring the flavored water out of the bottle, because it doesn't make sense for him to take that flavored water, put it into the thermos or whatever, and then pour it into his cup. So what's really in that thermos then? Makes you think.
5 came out. Within the first few months of the game out, I highly criticized the game. And I said, listen, this game is not good. It's too flowcharty. The connections online are awful. The game is not a competitive, fun game. It doesn't hold a candle to previous Street Fighters.
Competitive, fun game, meaning I win all my matches against weaker players. Just to let you know.
It's the worst one ever. Everyone
He said the same thing about Street Fighter 5 too, by the way. Keep that in mind.
yelled at me, panned me. How dare he say that? Because this was the big new fighting game and you're supposed to be hyped for it, right? Within 2 years, everyone agreed with me. And when Street Fighter 5 was retired for Street Fighter 6, almost every pro came out saying, yeah, this game was actually quite bad.
They said it was bad in the beginning. It had its problems, but every game has its fucking problems, retard. And guess what? They fixed it. It took them time to do it, but they fixed it. It's funny how DSP can sit there and put out shitty content for 10 years, defend it the whole 10 years saying, no, it wasn't. You guys are the assholes. You guys are stupid. Fuck you, get banned. And then after a decade or so, well, you know what? People criticized me and said my content was bad and it was slop and that I didn't, invest in my content and I seemed like I didn't care. I was just going through the motions, and they were right. They were right. I wasn't doing that, but I care now. I'm passionate about it now. And that's why you see all these upgrades. That's why you see all these improvements. But the FGC can sit there and go through their growing pains. They can go ahead and get better. They can go over there and improve. Oh, DSP has to disregard that. No. You guys are a piece of shit like you were day one. You guys got to eat that. You guys got to live and die on that one. That's real weird. Rules for re, but not for thee.
Street Fighter 6 is better.
Or rules for thee and not for re, so on and so forth.
Better. I was there saying it at first. No one wanted to listen. But now it's actually the popular opinion. So here we are in Street Fighter 6. Okay? And I'm saying...
It's not even the popular opinion. There's still people who debate on was Street Fighter 5 really that bad. There were some people who said that they didn't like it towards the end. There wasn't enough content. It had a rough start. But overall, it wasn't that bad of a game. But when the next game comes out, everybody does that. You see that shit in Call of Duty all the fucking time. That's the reason why yearly releases of games is just fundamentally a bad idea. But as long as idiots like me keep contributing to the problem of buying the new Call of Duty, or at least playing it, I haven't bought a Call of Duty in years. I just keep getting it gifted. But whatever. If I'm still part of the problem because I'm still fucking playing it. I'm still contributing to the problem. And as long as people like me keep doing that, they're going to keep putting out yearly slop, and it's going to be slop. And they're going to sit there and create problems and then try to sell it to us later as if this is the improvement, this is the solution, which is exactly what DSP does. He gives you slop for years upon years upon years, and then he tries to sell you on the solution. Like he ain't come to an epiphany and realize, you know what I was doing was wrong. Well, pay me this amount of money so I can fix it. And now we'll get better content all around. It's the same shit. The very things that he accuses gaming companies, publishers, and developers of doing, so to speak, he does himself. And look at how he justifies it. But if a gaming company does it, oh, they're multimillionaires, they're bad. You make 100,000 plus a year, Phil. More than most of the people in your own audience who watch you. So it's okay to go ahead and financially rape them. But it's not okay for you to get financially raped by one of these big companies. All right, I roger that. Okay, sure. I got you, champ.
This game, sadly, is too easy to play. People are exposing the meta too early online. It's ruining the game. It's making it stagnant. It's making it boring. And it's making it that every time you fight a person, it doesn't feel unique. You're fighting the same bot, the same pattern. You're not fighting that person in the unique flair of gameplay. It's just, how do I perform the flowchart better than the next person to win easily?
Then why can't you beat it? Why can't you beat the pattern play? Why can't you beat the flowchart? And if it is a flowchart, that means it has to branch off in different ways, right, Phil? Just in case you don't know what a flowchart is. And with that being said, if not everybody takes the same branches on that, which means everybody fundamentally plays different. You do realize, you know what? Let me stop. Because you clearly don't really have an understanding of what the fuck you're talking about. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and strangle yourself anyway, because you're good for that.
Right? So I say this, and Button Check actually said it in his content. Is it that because DSP is saying it that no one will listen? Do people actually agree with this sentiment? But because DSP says it, it doesn't matter. And then in 2-3 years, all of a sudden, everyone else will say it publicly and agree.
He never said that last part, so I don't know why you're lying on him. But you lie on everybody, so it is what it is.
Well, it's happening faster than you thought. Because, ladies and gentlemen, pros and or former pros are starting to now step up and criticize Street Fighter 6 in a way that I feel like they should.
You feel like they should, and they're just now starting to step up and talk, even though Sanford, as well as others, have been speaking on this damn near since the game came out. This isn't just an epiphany that Sanford just had. He's kind of been saying this shit. Just because DSP isn't privy to that, just because DSP may not read every Reddit post, right? Or he damn sure is not invited to any Discords and whatnot. I can almost tell you that. There's not one FGC or fighting game Discord that I know for sure that he's in. Because if not, I would have crossed paths with him by now. So that's certainly not a thing. I'm not saying I'm in all of them, but if I'm not in it, I at least have some connections that are in there. So he hasn't been in there. And there's a reason for that, but we'll touch on that later. Fuck all that. He's a coward. He's a coward that he's going to get called out on his bullshit. And that it's at some of those Discords, the tractor content gets floated around and shit. And so you don't want to face none of that bullshit. That's the reality of it. Now, is he hiding off in one of these individual guys' fucking Discord? Maybe. I doubt he's in Arturo's though. But is he actually hiding off in some of these guys' Discords? He might. It's possible. But I assume he's not in there long, and I assume he doesn't speak much.
And I'm glad that people are finally having balls to do so. And in fact, the person who I'm highlighting.
And what do you mean by have the balls? Sorry about that kind of buggy muting mechanics. What do you mean have the balls? No one has to fucking move on your fucking dime or on your time frame. People will come to their decisions when they come to their decisions, not on your time frame. It's weird that everybody needs to move when Darkside Phil needs them to move. Fuck crazy. Here, I'll bring that part back.
And in his content, is it that because DSP is saying it that no one will listen? Do people actually agree with this sentiment? But because DSP says it, it doesn't matter. And then in 2-3 years, all of a sudden, everyone else will say it publicly and agree. Well, it's happening faster than you thought. Because, ladies and gentlemen, pros and or former pros are starting to now step up and criticize Street Fighter 6 in a way that I feel like they should. And I'm glad that people are finally having balls to do so. And in fact, the person who I'm highlighting today is not only one of the best Street Fighter players of all time in the United States, but also is well regarded as someone who knows his shit when he talks about games. The person I'm talking about is a.
It's just this goes to show just how much of an idiot he is. He went ahead and highlighted Sanford's Street Fighter accomplishments because this is what we're kind of talking about, Street Fighter. But truth be told, Sanford has fighting game accomplishments and whatnot. It's beyond just Street Fighter. See, DSP don't want to give him too much praise. See, if it was Justin, he'd glaze him all day with that. But since it's Sanford, and because, he an Afro, he a Negro, you know what I'm saying? He's just another brother and shit. Now, let me just go ahead and play K2, or let me just big up what actually fits my narrative, and then we'll just discount the rest of it. None of that really matters and whatnot. Just what I christen, what I deem to be important. The rest of his accomplishments, though, let's not worry about that. And if he doesn't know them, then he really has no business speaking on it. End of story. Hey, this is Sanford Kelly, well-known guy in the FGC. Let's go ahead and talk about it. But now you want to talk about, how esteemed he is as it pertains to Street Fighter, and you're just going to disregard the rest of his FGC shit? And the reason why is because that gives him more authority. And DSP don't want to do that. DSP wants to be able to control the narrative, even as petty of a level this is. And stuff like that's important, ladies and gentlemen, when I point out some of these nuances and shit. It shows really how dishonest he is, and more importantly, how obsessed he is with controlling the narrative of a situation. It's the easiest thing to be honest. Either you don't know enough about Sanford and his tournament experience, and more importantly, his tournament accomplishments. So say, hey, this is the well-regarded guy in the FGC, or you want to big up what he's done in this one game, but you don't want to talk about everything else because you don't want to give him that much credit. Just enough to get your narrative over. Devil's in the details.
Person who I used to actually play against and run tournaments in and for back in the day.
You never ran a tournament for Sanford. What the fuck are you talking about? He's never ran a tournament for Sanford. So let's go ahead and shut that shit up right now. He's never ran a tournament for Sanford. Has he been in tournaments with Sanford? Sure. He's never ran a tournament for Sanford. So let's go ahead and stop that bullshit right now.
Sanford Kelly, one of the best Marvel 2 players of all time, if not arguably the best Marvel Play 2 of all time. Maybe you could say Justin Wong was better, Yipes was better, but he's definitely up there, right? So here's what he had to say about Street Fighter in the modern era. Okay? Street Fighter 4.
It's funny too, and this actually proves my point. He brought up 3 of the 4 gods. He didn't bring up Duck Doe at all. And so according to DSP was at that first Evo, that first B5. So he knows that Duck Doe won that very first Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at that event. But why did we go ahead and let him out? Why we leave him out? See what I'm saying? Either he don't know, or yet again, he's trying to control the narrative. Just saying. It's just the little things.
Was very special to me because of the skill and mastery. I miss watching Street Fighter streams and seeing character-specific combos and trades into stuff. The execution and reactions people had were insane to play against and watch. I miss that era of Street Fighter. Gee, does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Now keep in mind, the very narrative DSP's talking about, people had kind of said that before him. They had said it in a way that was far more digestible. It didn't sound as ignorant or as fucking belligerent as when he blurted that shit out. But yet he wants to take credit for it because Sanford said this, and that's not even the same thing. They didn't even say the same thing. But yet DSP is so quick to try to eat off this black man's plate because he didn't even have a plate at the table. That seems weird, but whatever. Do what you got to do, I guess.
It kind of sounds like what I was saying. That essentially, Street Fighter now is boring. Because no one plays individually. No one thinks for themselves.
So that's funny, because if he had a better than 50% average, would he be saying it then? If he was beating up on mainly scrubs, and he had an easy ride from opening rank all the way up to master rank, and maybe even into legendary, would he be talking that shit then? See, it makes you think.
There's no era of discovery. Everyone just knows the meta within 2 weeks, copies each other. And now when you go to a tournament or you watch a tournament, it's boring as shit. There's no individuality. He's absolutely right. In Street Fighter 4, there was character-specific setups. There was actually, this person's so good with this character, they've mastered the game and now play it differently than someone else and can kick ass. They can pick a low-tier character and dominate with the low tier.
And some of those guys didn't win. Most of those guys didn't even win tournaments, though. Not to say that is important. Let me reframe that. There were a bunch of character-specific or character specialists, let's say that, or players who were character specialists and shit. Like, I'll give one example. Online Tony. For those of you guys who know your Street Fighter 4, DSP don't because he's a piece of shit. But, and a fake fan and a fucking poser. Online Tony, arguably, may have been the best Seth player. He may very well be one of the best Seth players if he's not the best Seth player in Street Fighter 4. His son, this is really wild actually, his son competed in EVO this year. I don't know how well he did. He may have actually won in his game of choice. I can't remember now, but he placed pretty well. And Online Tony was up there cheering him on and shit, as you know, a good father does for his son. Something DSP knows little to nothing about. Anyway, but Online Tony is arguably, he should be the GOAT, if not one of the GOATs. But homeboy from Korea kind of still takes the cake and shit. The dude who likes to take his shirt off in the middle of matches and shit. That guy's funny as hell. Fucking hilarious and shit. The guy who shotguns Red Bulls, or at least he used to. I don't think he does so much of that now. But that guy was an animal. Absolute animal. I'm pretty sure he's from Korea. He might have been from Japan, but I'm pretty sure the guy was from Korea. Anyway, but he was another incredibly beastly fucking Seth player in itself. But here's the point. Online Tony was an animal. In any tournament that he went into, he was definitely going to wreck up shop. Unfortunately, he didn't get the high tournament standings that he should have. Does that disregard him as a player, per se? No, it doesn't. At the same time, to be honest, as good as he is, he may have been able to take that character to its absolute limits and maybe even beyond that shit. To be honest with you, on some like on some One Punch Man type shit, but it just wasn't enough to win tournaments for whatever reason. So even from a low tier standpoint, even there are objectively just going to be some type of limitations. If you can't outthink that situation, and your character doesn't have enough tools to make it happen, then the outcome is the outcome, if you will. I mean, look at someone like VDO, someone that DSP allegedly knows. VDO is known for his low tier character teams and shit, and pushing that shit to the absolute limits and even beyond that. And definitely, he's known for fucking yeefing high tier teams and even, you know, high tier players, to be honest. But was it enough though to win like an Evo? It wasn't. Now, that's not a knock against VDO. That's just the reality of the situation. So, and that in low tier characters, by their very nature, opens up a level of exploration, or is certainly individuality, because there are only so few people who play them. So even back in Street Fighter 4's days, people running to Abel, to Rufus, to Hakan when he came across as broken as shit. Like almost every character had its time in the sun. But I would say it was what? Rufus, Yun. Trying to think who else was really top tier over there at that time. Fucking A. Akuma was an animal for a bit. If you could get past the health deficit. Who else? Who else was really good? Obviously Sagat was fucking crazy stupid, especially with the glitch with his Scar power up and shit. Then that just, oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh man, the fact that shit was able to go on the way it did for as long as it did was crazy, and Sanford took advantage of that shit for everything it was worth. Every character had its time in the sun, but at the end of the day, the 4 or 5 characters that were considered S level tier characters were basically what won the day. But yet again, you had your outliers. You had people like Dominion, for example, real good friend of IFC Yipes, and unfortunately was a victim, if you will, of Arturo being ripped off of 45. Well, it was like 50, or sorry, it was $3,500, $4,000 for a custom PC that Arturo was supposed to build for him, and Arturo ran off on the plug with the money. So there's that. But even Dominion though, like, you know what I'm saying, did he win an EVA? No, he placed high though, and that in that fucking world tour that he was on and shit. Not his girls tour, that world tour that he went on, where he was basically giving everybody the business with that Guile, was crazy. That was crazy. He took Guile further than anybody thought you could. And he laid down the groundwork for everybody who came later. So there's that. But semantics, I don't need to, I could talk your ear off about that shit if you let me.
Let's read some of the supplies. Or some of the replies. Yeah, man, me too. I'm just looking at a match and immediately knowing who is playing simply because of their play style. Street Fighter 4 era was a special time. In terms of gameplay, I didn't even need to be able to play like the pros to follow.
Street Fighter 4 was a special game, to be honest. It was just a real special game.
Streams and tournaments. All I needed was to play the game myself to understand what I'm watching. So dumbing down Street Fighter 5 and 6 for casual still hurt my interest in the games.
So yet again, it goes back to my gatekeeping thing, because based off that comment, if you make the game accessible for everybody, then the game is not made for anybody. Just throwing it out there. And like I said, you could blame Call of Duty for that too, with skill-based matchmaking. When you dumb the game down to make it accessible for everybody, then you make it available for no one. You know what I'm saying? Basically. If you want to go ahead and give everybody participation trophies, or you want to keep everybody at a certain MMR, or a certain what do they call it? KD and shit, or whatever, fine. You can go ahead and shackle people to that all you want, but you're never gonna get any real exploration out of the shit. That's the game's fault. You know what I'm saying? That's not a player or community fault. That's the game's fault, theoretically. So womp womp. But yet again, if you're gonna run around and say, "Oh, the game is fucking brain dead easy," then boy, oh boy, you better be at the top of the heap to say shit like that. And DSP is not there.
Street Fighter 4 having Chun played by multiple people, you could feel the style each had. Each played her differently. Street Fighter 6, you can't tell one Akuma or Ken apart from the other. Gee, it seems like people agree with me.
You mean agree with Sanford? All right, whatever. It is what it is.
Except because Sanford said it, now it's cool.
Well, here's my thing. If Sanford wasn't black, would you feel the same way about this? I'm really asking this question, to be honest with you. I'm saying this in all honesty. If Sanford Kelly wasn't black, and let's say Ultra Davis said this, or let's say who else is really popular, or like Dial-A-Phone, or any of those guys. If any of those guys had said it, would DSP go ahead and be acting the way he's acting? Most of you would say, yeah, he probably would. But some of you might think, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Something about.
But when DSP said it a month ago, oh, fuck DSP, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? I know a lot of people feel the same way you do. The same people should put in work to try to keep the game alive. My personal favorite set, it shows a Seth set. Crazy part is it's literally just nostalgia goggles. The games are as exciting to watch, if not more, than they've ever been. We're just getting older and things aren't as fun as they used to be. Wrong.
What do you mean wrong? He's actually, I mean, one could make that argument. It's called, like, for example, if you guys played Black Ops 2, right? Do you feel that games are anywhere near the creativity? And do you feel like you had that type of experience that you had when you were a kid, when you played, or whatever age you were, when you were playing Black Ops 2? Modern Warfare, the original Black Ops? It's funny how as soon as someone comes up with, well, you know what, the games might not be great, whatever, but we're all looking at it through rose-tinted glasses anyway. You know what I'm saying? The games back in the day weren't nearly as good as they're made now. And then immediately he wants to say he's wrong. Well, that's weird, because if someone like myself discounts DSP, oh, I got a bias, this, that, and the third, my opinion should be discarded. If someone right here, who DSP don't know, by the way, sits there and says, maybe it's more nostalgia bait than anything. Oh, well, no, it's not nostalgia bait. Fuck you. You don't speak for an entire community, Phil. You don't speak for him. So who are you to go ahead and make claims like that? Rules for Ree, but not for thee.
You're a child. You're actually a child. You were around during the era when Street Fighter was exciting. Now,
so now we're going to use ageism to discount somebody's opinion. Okay, fair enough. Tell me more.
You watch a tournament and it's boring. Back then, it used to be, oh my God, are you telling me this top-level person's going to face this top-level person? It's a never-before-seen match.
Keep in mind, not everybody back in those days who played Street Fighter was tapped in like that. Keep that in mind. There is a legitimate, what's the word I want to look for? I'll go with legitimate for right now. There is a legitimate casual community out there for all games who aren't tapped into the online, like, part of it, or the online side of it. You have to remember that. That is a thing. There are people who use Twitter who may play Mortal Kombat, and they're not tapped into the Mortal Kombat community on Twitter, or on Reddit, or on TikTok, or Instagram, or any other social media platform. They don't go to the forums anymore. Most of them probably don't even know that there are forums still for that. Don't get it twisted. What DSP is talking about, as it pertains to esports, and as it pertains to this online FGC community, it's still very niche. It's still a very small community. It's not like Dota. It's not like League of Legends. It's not like any of those games that have blown up crazy and shit. Yeah, the FGC has gotten a lot of exposure over the years, but it's still nowhere near other games are.
And we're going to see crazy levels of competition and things we've never seen before. It was epic. Now, it doesn't matter who the fuck's playing. It's all the same crap.
How would he know when he doesn't follow the community, nor does he care about competitive Street Fighter anyway? I'm just asking. I just thought I'd put it out there.
This is a good one. The time of Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3 was the last era where you could watch a tournament and actually have a chance to see something you've never seen before. Stuff you didn't even know was possible. It was an amazing era. And again, why? Because now everything is put on the internet immediately. The meta is already spoiled.
So it's the internet's fault that information is accessible the way it is, which prevents gatekeeping, basically. Because remember, this whole argument, ladies and gentlemen, isn't about nostalgia. It isn't about this. It isn't about that. It's about gatekeeping. That's legitimately what all of this is about.
There's no reason for it, because competitively it makes no sense to do it. If you know tech, keep the tech. Use it in a tournament for your advantage. Why would you give it to everyone?
Gatekeeping.
Why would you tell the secret of how to play something competitively to the world It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Let me tell you what kind of fuckboy shit this is. Okay, so I'm not privy to this Discord. I'm not in it, I should say. I'm not in this Discord. But there are, although I'm not in a lot of Discords, to be honest with you, as it pertains to detractor stuff and whatever. But there are a bunch of detractor Discords that you yourself who are listening right now can go in and you can essentially learn everything about a layout, how to better stream, how to pick up ideas about content creation. These are from people who you watch. These are from people who you like and respect. Your favorite detractor more than likely has a Discord that you can go into and you can ask them questions about their streaming setup and whatever, and they'll answer you. They'll even walk you through it. There are guys who have Discords, Raw Phil for sure, and I'm pretty sure Piece of Peace has one too. And they have an FGC segment, or not segment, section, sorry, that you can go in and you can talk to other people about fighting games. And they'll walk you through it. And if you're available, and if they're available, you can actually get online with them and get some rounds in. That's something you can do. That's something that's available to you. This is within the DSP detractor community. I'm putting this out there, right? These are things that are available within this little niche community of mentally ill fucking rejects, or whatever the fuck DSP wants to call us. So how is it that normal people feel compelled to not only give people a platform, but use that platform to help others, to not gatekeep shit, keep their secrets and all this little gay ass shit? They actually are willing to put the information out and actually put the time in to actually help other people, to see people grow, so their overall communities grow and get better. And yet you got gatekeeping shit like this going on, and he wonders why there's nobody around him except for dents and NPCs. There's nobody that he could talk to. There's no one that has any real respectability that will back up anything he says. That's why we got to piggyback off fucking posts on fucking Twitter/X from people that he don't even talk to, who probably don't even know him or remember who he is. Tell me the difference between those two situations and what situation you would rather be in. What situation has more legitimacy, which has more relevancy, and actually promotes the growth of a community? Remember, he's saying that the FGC should be able to thrive through gatekeeping, by keeping all of your information, keeping all your tech, keeping all your secrets, and then just ass blasting all these people who don't know shit about shit and hope that they stick around. Right? I guess. Not give them any help when they ask. Don't do any of that shit. Oh, well, hey, if you don't pick it up from the jump, oh, well, you just don't do that. End of story. Sucks to suck. Or you can have this community that's been like, hey, welcome, come on in. What's your character choice? What are you thinking about doing? Well, here, let's play a couple of matches and let's see what you have, and then we can make an assessment. I'll try to help you best I can. If not, I'll try to put you in with somebody who I know who could probably help you better. And watching someone grow that way. It's that type of nonsense that you see with Call of Duty right now. See, that gatekeeping bullshit is basically bullshit hand-holding and whatever. And that led to, in some ways, that led to where we're at now. So think about Call of Duty for a minute. So back in Black Ops 2, it was a fucking crucible. It was death by 1,000 cuts. Only the strong survived, basically. But the thing is the people who played Call of Duty back then weren't bitches. Oh, if you got beat up in a couple of lobbies, you didn't just quit the game and just never play it again. Guess what? You kept playing. You kept picking up on strats. You picked up on guns. You picked up on what attachments those guns are. You do realize you can pick up a gun off the ground, right, and actually see what the attachments are. Well, kind of, sort of. You can at least get a rough idea of it. You do realize you can learn routes. You can learn strategies. It wasn't just about gunplay. Back in the day, Call of Duty there was a bunch of things that made Call of Duty what it was. It's not just all this fucking butt sliding that goes around all the time and shit that throws off your camera and then you can get a kill on someone. You need a gun skill, like real gun skill. And you needed strategy. You needed tactics. You need to understand the maps, how maps flow, spawn points, stuff like that. You had to use your fucking head. You don't get that now. They dumb down the game the way it is to keep everybody basically in the same fucking spot, to where no matter what's going on, they make you feel like you're in the mix. You're not learning, you're not necessarily getting better and whatnot. Instead of giving you a reason to actually rise up and get better as a player, they just dumb down everybody else to keep everybody, if not on the same plateau, to keep them close. And then they throw a bunch of microtransactions at you because the guy who just fucking handed you your ass last match, well, guess what? This is what his loadout is. It was this bundle that you can go and get in the shop right now for 2,400 COD points. So, what do you want to do, man? You want to buy those? You want to go ahead and get those COD points and then buy that bundle and get and level up? Or do you want to keep going through the bullshit and we have to recommend another bundle to you? They don't current Call of Duty doesn't promote you getting better through experience. It's whatever we can sell you to keep you playing. DSP is kind of doing the same thing. Oh, gatekeep all of the knowledge, gatekeep all the information, and force people to keep playing so predators like him can sit there and take advantage of them, and hopefully they stick around. And if they don't, and they drop out, oh, well, they had no business being here anyway. And then DSP could just go ahead and find something else to bitch about on why he's not up there with the upper tiers. Not the fact that he's not good enough. Not the fact that he did just enough to coast by. But, oh, well, there's not enough scrubs or noobs for me to take advantage of to get my fucking MR high enough so I could fucking be up there with y'all. That's the only thing that held me back. That's what it was. Think about that. Because that's literally what this whole argument's about.
But these people do it. It's like they're just morons. Hey, just give away the keys to the kingdom. And now the game is boring within a few months.
And this shows where his real retardation is. I want you to really peep this. If you're a good player, you can pass your knowledge to another player and not be intimidated. Because that was a thing back in the day. Those guys in Street Fighter 4, they used to pass their knowledge all the time to people. No one was intimidated by it. No one was scared of it. Call of Duty back in the day, the good players, they didn't give a fuck about what gun they were running or what perks they were running. They tell you in the fucking lobby in a heartbeat. There might be a couple of colorful words before it and after it, but you would still get it and whatnot. You're not intimidated. A good player or a talented player and whatnot, they're not intimidated by stuff like that. That's the difference between people who are competitors and champions, right? Because as you know, you have competitors, you have contenders, and then you have champions, right? A competitor is still trying to make their way. They're trying to build a name for themselves, and more often than not, they have to go through the mental blocks of making excuses for why they're not at where they feel they need to be. Once you're a champion, you want to, you know what I'm saying? Real recognizes real. Champions need the face of the champions to prove who's the best. Each plateau that you go through, you're going to have to go up against the best on that plateau to elevate to the next plateau. See, someone like DSP don't know that. He just think, oh, if I do enough long enough, I'll immediately get the recognition that I should. That's not how life works. That's not how life works. If you want to run around here and gloat with your little participation trophy, go ahead. Go ahead. But the last time I checked, and the way I was raised, no one gives a fuck about fourth place. You get your little pity pat clap and shit when you go up there, and then everybody moves the fuck on. End of story. So it's really weird that a fucking loser is literally promoting gatekeeping. That's real strange. On top of the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that he's a variety streamer. Right? That's what he keeps telling us. That's the reason why he can't play Street Fighter more than 2 days a week. Right? Sometimes once a week. So what does he care? What does he really care about the overall FGC community that he's not a part of, admittedly, that he don't care about, admittedly, and that, truth be told, he doesn't have enough time to compete in because he's doing other shit for a selective audience. Don't worry, I'll wait.
Right? Like, here we go. Same. Watching offline tournament streams to watch one person be a specialist with one character. Watch use Oni and Sagat. Zeus would use Vega. Sako would use Evil Ryu. Now you can run videos of 5 players using the same character. You could never guess who was using them outside of hit confirms. There you go. I mean, I can just keep going. All right. But the funny part is they're all saying, oh, here you go. Street Fighter 4 high-level tournaments were timeless. Now it's just throw loop and 50-50. Exactly right. You get to the corner, throw loop, 50-50 guess, throw loop, 50-50 guess. That's Street Fighter 6 in a nutshell now. It's awful. Okay, it really is awful. So there you go. And the funny part is, I say it about Street Fighter 2. Why do I say it about Street Fighter 2? Because that's the era I was around for. These guys are nostalgic about Street Fighter 4 because that was their nostalgic era. For those who don't know, Sanford is younger than me, and he didn't play the class.
Most of those guys that were in that thread were younger than you, to be honest with you. But whatever.
classics like I did. He got into it around the era of Marvel 2. So to him, the nostalgia factor is going to be starting around Marvel 2 through like Street Fighter 4. For me, it's Street Fighter 2. You see?
A game that was older than most of those people that are on that thread. Keep that in mind.
So,
and that goes back to the nostalgia factor that someone had pointed out, and he immediately shot down because that works against his argument. Womp womp. But he's honest though. He's honest.
It's true. It's not just me saying it. People are agreeing. But because I said it, erase it, it doesn't matter because that's DSP saying it, right? So maybe what I should do is I should just take my takes and I should bring them to other people in the FGC and have them say them instead.
No one's going to listen to you. So there's that. And that he can't even get Max to talk to him. This is Maximilian dude. He's considered just a pillar. Holy fuck, he's looked at as a keystone in the FGC and shit. He can't even get Max to talk to him. Max don't want no parts of that shit for good reason. On top of the fact that DSP ain't talked shit about him, said that he tried to exploit his dead dog and all kinds of ridiculous shit. Holy fuck. Like DSP ain't sat there and crossed lines that you can't uncross. But semantics. And also he kind of low-key accused Max and the Cannon brothers of covering up or sweeping for fucking Mr. Wiz, if you guys remember that. We'll save that. I'll definitely touch base on that. I've already done a video on it, but I'll definitely touch base back on that. That shit was silly how he pulled that bullshit. And he wondered why no one wanted to talk to him. Anyway, there are people in the FGC who won't even speak to him. He can't even get Button Check to talk to him. Someone who's as accessible as anybody, he can't even get that to happen. Which is wild. And not to say that Button Check is willing to talk to everybody, because you got to give yourself a level of exclusivity. To be honest with you, if you make yourself accessible to everybody, then you're going to just basically dilute yourself and shit. You'll never be able to have a thought of your own if you're taking in everybody else's. Anyway, but he can't even get someone like Button Check to talk to him. So who the fuck is really going to listen to anything that DSP says and then actually agree with it and then stand on business on that? The only reason why Button Check even picked the story up is because DSP said something stupid and a bunch of people on X sent it to him and said, hey man, you should probably take a look at this. Button Check even prefaced that before he even got into all this. Other than that, Button Check wasn't checking for what Darkside Phil says. Button Check is deep in the trenches in the FGC. There's so much information coming out. It's not possible for one person to catch all that. You know what I'm saying? Half the stories that Button Check does, to be honest, is just scraping. Sorry, it's a term that's used in the FGC a lot, but and this one is probably not what I should have used. He's just scratching the surface of like some of the stories that he picks up on, and no hate. You know what I'm saying? I think Button Check does that on purpose so you can go out and actually follow up on the story yourself. And it helps feed the chain. If there's more demands to hear the follow-up to the story, he'll cover it. So on and so forth. So I get the method and the madness. But Button Check doesn't catch on everything. There's no way to do so. And he's not the only person who does FGC news. He may not even be the biggest. To be honest, I'm pretty sure it's some VTuber. Pretty sure it's some VTuber who is. But that's neither here nor there. So it was only by happenstance that fucking Button Check even decided to talk about this. That's just the reality of it.
Seriously, maybe that's just what I should do. Don't say it myself in my own content. Instead, let's just have someone else say it, and then they'll actually get traction, and people will talk to them about it and believe them.
So think about it this way. So he's basically saying that Sanford Kelly is so brain dead stupid, right? Just another ignorant Negro, that he couldn't come up with this thought on his own. He had to copy DSP. So now, well, hey, if he's going to sit there and steal my shit and whatnot, I'm the one with the smart thoughts. You know what I'm saying? I'm the brains of the operation. He's the mouthpiece. So maybe I should just go ahead and start talking through him. Let me just go ahead and use him and his clout and his juice to get me over. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. And that's real weird to say that about somebody and whatnot, especially someone who don't look like you. That seems real odd. You know what I'm saying? That's real odd. But whatever. Maybe it's just happenstance. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Because this is a major problem with Street Fighter 6. 100%. The game's too easy to play. The game doesn't have any kind of skill check at all besides sitting in a lab for an hour practicing a combo or a strategy. Everyone is exposing the meta of every...
Wait, what did he just... I'm sorry, I just caught that. I'm looking at some other shit right now. A skill check. What does that mean exactly? So now he's trying to say that you have to be able to, you have to reach a certain plateau before you can get online and play. Oh, let me bring that back. I almost missed that.
And they'll actually get traction and people will talk to them about it and believe them, because this is a major problem with Street Fighter 6. 100%. The game's too easy to play. The game doesn't have any kind of skill check at all besides sitting in a lab for an hour practicing a combo or a strategy.
So he wants you to be regulated. Holy shit. He wants you to be regulated long before you even get online. It's almost like, think about it this way. He kind of wants, it's almost like you have to reach a certain level before online play is even accessible to you, basically. Or he's trying to say that you can't have an opinion about a game unless you're at a certain level that gives you the clarification, the certification to be able to speak on it. It's one of the two. Either way, it's that's gatekeeping, no matter how you want to spin it. But that's what that is. You need to be clarified and verified to be certified to say something. Ooh, I like that. Bars. Anyway, is something along those lines. That's wild that you would think that. That a person can't just have an opinion. He has an opinion. He's just mad that no one cares. Now he's saying there should be roadblocks on who can have an opinion about stuff and who should be taken into account and who shouldn't. So think about it this way. The quote unquote gatekeeping that he allegedly is going through, he thinks that should be implicated or impeded upon or implemented on, that's probably the term. It should be implemented on other people because he feels like he's being held back. Everybody else needs to be held back too. Imagine that. That's weird. That's strange. Someone who, quote unquote, feels like he's being oppressed wants other people to be oppressed too. That's weird. That's like that thing that, that's like this long-term argument that they have going on, that those who are victimized, some of them, not all of them, but some of them turn out to be end up becoming victim. People who are victims turn to be victimizers later, right? Or like if you've been abused at one time or another, you very well could be an abuser later on down the line, depending on what your circumstances are. This is the same shit in a much more toned down sort of way, of course, but this is kind of the same shit. Strange, but okay, fair enough. I'll play your game, Phil. I'll play your game.
Everyone is exposing the meta of every character within a few days. Therefore, everything is boring within a week or two. And no one, like I said, that's exactly what happened with Mai Shiranui. Oh, a new character. This is exciting. And people ran and played with her for a week. And then on week 2, everything was already exposed. By week 3, no one cared. Everyone's bored. We're on to other stuff. When's Elena coming out? That's not supposed to be the life cycle of a fighting game. There's supposed to be this entire time period where people are playing and learning and discovering for themselves. And then they try different strategies against each other in a competitive environment until finally, after weeks to months to years of arduous practice, people figure it out.
Who determines that? And I want you to think here, let me bring this back. Who determines that? The amount of time that needs to go by for people to take in information and be able to implement it and then grow from it. I want you to think about that because that sounds like a stagnant mindset or stagnant behavior. I've never heard anybody say some shit like that. I've never heard someone go out their way to try to stifle progress. That's weird.
And then on week 2, everything was already exposed. By week 3, no one cared. Everyone's bored. We're on to other stuff. When's Elena coming out? That's not supposed to be the life cycle of a fighting game. There's supposed to be this entire time period where people are playing and learning and discovering for themselves. And then they try different strategies against each other in a competitive environment until finally, after weeks to months to years of arduous practice, people figure it out. Not, oh, we spoiled the whole game within hours of it being. Like, what are you doing, you fucking morons? You're ruining competitive gaming by doing that. You literally are. You've taken
a competitive scene that he's not part of and he don't care about, by the way.
Out all of the fun era. I just don't get it. I don't get why these people keep doing it.
Oh, shit.
Anyway, Moritarian says, well, how would you fix the issue? Well, to be frank, There is a way to fix the issue. It's just that Capcom doesn't like it. Okay? Do you want to know the way to fix the issue? Make fighting games hard to play again.
Gatekeeping. Literally gatekeeping. Now, keep in mind, he wasn't shit. Now, let's be very honest here about all this and his alleged FGC experience and all that fuckboy bullshit. Let's be real honest about what the situation is. He hasn't been jack shit in no game. Period. The only his only little claim to fame in air quotes is fucking Super Turbo. Now you can go to your favorite detractor, and they may go ahead and give him pity points and say, "Oh well, he's okay at fighting games. He's this, that, and that." That's fine if that's the case. But the reality is, the only thing that he can ever claim to is a fucking bullshit port on Super Turbo. End of story. Other than that, he's trash at everything. End of story. So who the fuck is he to sit there and ask for a skill ceiling? And if so, he won't be able to meet it. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and let me get on my bully bullshit for a minute. He can't hit that ceiling now. He barely got his ass into fucking Master, and he won't play past it because he knows he's not good enough. Does he know there are additional ranks to Master Rank? There is. Why won't he strive for it? Before those additional rankings were put into the situation, there was Legendary. Why didn't he go for that? There was 1,500. I want to tell you there was like 1,500 slots. Maybe not. Maybe not. There might not have been that many. Maybe it was 1,200. Maybe it was like 500. I can't remember now. But in Legendary, there was like there was a set amount of places for people to get into Legendary, right? Per character. There was only a certain amount, there's only a certain amount of slots. Let's say there was like only 500 slots. Let's say there's only 250 slots. Fuck it, whatever. Let's say that. Why did he never strive for it? Why wasn't he good enough to get past to get through Master Rank to get into Legendary? Why did he never even choose to go for it? Don't worry, I'll wait. Because remember, all those characters that are in Master Rank, they're all on the low end. Like, he did just enough to get in. And because once you get in the Master Rank, you can't get demoted. That's it. He never strived for anything past that because he's not good enough. He knows he's tried a couple times, I should say. But striving and trying are two separate things. Keep that in mind. He got beat up each and every time. Now, this idiot wants to ask for a skill cap when he himself has poor execution. How many times have you watched a SnortBucks video, big ups, a Memology video, big ups, a Mighty D video, big ups, a Snort Hogan video, or a Hate Army video, big ups to both of them. Whoever your favorite detractor is, how many times have you watched a compilation or a video of him playing Friday Night Fights and him crying and complaining about this move didn't come out? I did this. This shouldn't have happened. How did he get that move? He didn't go for that. He didn't really want that. How many times have you heard that nonsense? And now this idiot wants to sit there and ask for a skill cap. Ass backwards, man. Holy shit.
Make it so that you actually need to have skill to play a fighting game. Not that every character can be played in a silly easy mode pattern and you just need to memorize the pattern. But that's what they've become because they want to sell to a maximum audience, you see. In an era when moves were actually hard to pull off all the time, combos needed really tough frame-specific timing. Footsies were required to actually play a fighting game, right? He doesn't
even have footsies, but whatever. Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna let him slide on shit. He doesn't even have a footsie game, really. So what's he talking about? He goes for the same sequence. If it's not roundhouse off the rip, he usually goes for medium to light to roundhouse. Then he'll go back, then he'll move back, he'll move forward, and he'll go for the same sequence again. Or he'll go for a light, then he'll try to go for medium into roundhouse. So what's he talking about? And if I can remember what he usually does, just imagine someone else who's really paying attention.
This character can completely skip neutral, but instead you need to have knowledge of how to play with zoning and stuff like that.
And you don't have that either. And more importantly than that, he doesn't even have character knowledge. He barely understands the characters he's using, let alone most of the characters he plays against. Does he really have an understanding of the other characters on the roster that he's not playing? Nope. Everything's on reaction and reflex. And if that fails him, the other person's cheating, or the internet's bad, or rollback netcode. You want me to keep going? I can. I can do this all day. All day. All day.
Make them hard to play again. Now, what'll happen is immediately 60% of the scrubby ass bitches who can't play fighting games and only play them because they're easy mode will drop off.
That's you. That's legitimately you. You'll play, but you'll get beat, and then you'll just stop playing, which is what happened in Street Fighter V, which is what eventually happened in Street Fighter 4. So, okay, he's part of that statistic. He understands that, right? He understands that he's really just a statistic in that equation, and he will fall off just like everybody else, unless someone pays him to play it. I'm just putting it out there.
But the game will be good again. And now tournaments will be fun. And
the tournaments will, so the game will be good again because less players are playing it. Tournaments will be fun again because less people will attend it. What? That doesn't make any sense. Think about what he's trying to say. He kind of wanted to wait till the end, but fuck all this bullshit. Let's skip the foreplay and get to the situation at hand. This dude right here literally wants to gatekeep everything to the fucking point, believing that all the skill players will sit there, and if all the skill players are at the top and there are no scrubs and there are nobody above a noob, a scrub, or an average player, that'll make the tournament scene more interesting. But then he also accuses everybody who's good of playing the same characters the exact same way. So how does that make anything any more interesting? And how does that actually promote or encourage creativity in trying a character in a different way, or if trying a character at all, if everybody's just going to go back to Old Faithful or the meta to win? He must have not have thought that out very well. He must have not have thought that through. That's okay. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? One does what one can, I suppose.
now people won't be able to spoil the meta in 5 seconds because guess what? It's too hard to pull off the meta.
So wait, you think that by making the game harder, I already talked about it from the tournament standpoint. Let's talk about the content creation standpoint. If you make the game too hard to play, you hold on, or let me remix this. So make the game too hard to play, so it basically can't be promoted or accessible to noobs and scrubs and so on and so forth. So then there's no reason to make the content to help players get better with certain characters, and so everybody just plays the exact same shit at tournaments? So the same people just keep winning tournament after tournament after tournament? I'm confused. I'm really, really confused where he's going with this. And let me give you an example of how fucking confused I am. So Sako, who he brought up recently, he plays Eddie in Street Fighter 6, and he's the one who came up with that crazy ass combo and shit, and whatnot, that you can literally corner carry with. Insane shit. Like the theoretically the starter for that combo, or the situation that Sako did it in, was maddening. Like there's no way that you could. The equivalent of what he was doing then was like moment 37 back in the day in Third Strike with fucking Justin and Daigo. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's literally a moment in time type shit. That's the reason why Capcom has gone out of their way over and over and over again to try to recreate it, and it made it as accessible as it was. But for a number of years, no one was going to be able to do what Daigo did. It's just not a thing. Not only do it the way he did it, but do it in the circumstance that he did it. All right, let's go back to Sako. When he ended up doing it the way he did it, most people didn't think about trying to replicate it like that. Matter of fact, the combo was so complex at that time, people did what I try to tell people that they should do with combos, is to break it down into segments. And most people, if you look at the original Sako combo and then you look at where people are kind of with it now, most people can execute it. But most people skip that first part where how that setup came into be, and they run with everything else and whatnot. And then people figured out other ways of setting it up, and so on and so forth, to make it equally as impressive. Well, maybe not equally, but make it pretty impressive. And so on and so forth. So you took a setup which was just ridiculous given the situation, and which led to this insane combo that Sako had already been working on his own. And now you've got people who have taken fragments of that combo and made something else. So even though the initial setup was as hard as shit, or at least it was, people still found a way. And then on top of that, people ain't sat there and made variances of it to make it their own, right? So now this idiot's talking about making the game harder and it'll discourage people from playing it. Wouldn't that kill the game off and theoretically kill the scene off? Theoretically? Or would people step up and figure out a way around it? And if that's the case, you're just going to make, you're literally just going to make the game more and more complex, which is going to compel people to make more vids, to make videos or vidgets, as Morning After Kill likes to call them, to try to promote the game to get more people to play it. Does he not, like, even what he's saying, it doesn't work out that way. Like the people like to, fucking A, I hate to say this shit. People like to say that, oh, well, you know, you have to give DSP some credit because he's willing to endure, yada, 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 yada. I'm not going to fucking give any more to it than that. That DSP is willing to keep showing up every day. You have to give him any respect for that. I don't, because he has no choice. He was going to show up regardless because he ain't got shit else to do. But with that being said, you could apply that bullshit to anybody who's playing fighting games. If you're really, or to any game, if you're interested in that game and you're invested in that game enough, you'll find a way. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You'll find a way. So all he's doing is trying to promote conditions or parameters or circumstances that's just going to make even smarter, even stronger, even more creative players. He's literally cutting his own throat. He's literally put his head into the noose. He has sat there and tied it up there on the gallows, and he's literally about to hang himself. And he's too stupid to see it. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, that's the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, I try to tell y'all, because I started it so I can say that, you give DSP enough rope and he'll hang himself. And that's why people don't take him seriously. Because everything he says and does is to his own self-interest. Nothing else. And it's very easy to poke holes into that shit. I'm just long-winded as fuck. I'm sure you can go to another detractor and they can give that shit to you in 2 minutes. But you see what I'm saying? This does not help him in the way he thinks it is. It's not going to help anybody, per se.
Like right now, there are top players in Super Turbo who are insanely good with T-Hawk. But guess what? T-Hawk's the hardest character in the game to play with. So unless you're insanely superbly good, you'll never win a tournament with T-Hawk. But people are doing it. It's just that it's hard to do. Right now, if you expose the meta of Street Fighter 6, it's super easy to do it with any character, so everyone could just do it and the game is boring.
So then why isn't every character winning Street Fighter 6 tournaments then? Just asking. I'm asking for a friend. Just some clarification.
That's what they got to do. Bring back tough timing, execution, frame-specific moves, footsies, spacing, all the shit that's been removed for pattern, guessing, pattern, throw loop, 50-50, pattern. Get rid of it all. Bring it back to basics. Make it tough to play. Make it so that you have to get the fucking sweats to win a tough.
Now keep in mind, he's shit at Super Turbo. He's shit at Street Fighter in general, but he's shit at Super Turbo. As linear as that game is. And now he has the nerve to sit there and say, take all these new all these new additions to these new games and whatnot, the new engine and everything like that, go ahead and just tighten it up even further and make the controls, or make the execution, I should say, far more strict. Make your combo timing and your combo windows, if you will, far more strict. Things that he can't do now. Everything's allegedly so goddamn easy and dumbed down and watered down, right? He can't do shit now. He can't even do character-specific fucking combos. Let alone day one shit. He can barely do some of that stuff. And now he wants to make things harder. Which completely and utterly will drive his ass completely out of the game. That's the reason why he gave up on Street Fighter V. Because he can't accomplish anything. That's the reason why he was hovering around gold for as long as he did. I don't think he ever even went past gold in Street Fighter V, now I think about it. He stayed in the lower ranks because that's the only way he could beat up on noobs and scrubs. He couldn't go past that, if I remember correctly. Pretty sure he never made it past gold. I'm pretty sure he actually de-ranked himself a couple of times too on purpose, now I think about it. But that's neither here nor there.
Tough match. Instead of I just flowchart it. But then everyone will quit who's a scrub. But your game will be good. It's kind of like I've been saying all along. In the modern era, the people who are making new games aren't making them to make them good or meaningful. Like back in the day when a good video game came out, it was, we want to make the most competitive game ever. We want to make the most artistic game ever, right? We want to make a memorable moment. Now it's just, how do we sell the game? How do we make maximum profits? How do we make it that the game is played by everyone? Doesn't matter if the game's good, just make it addictive or catchy or easy. Then everyone will play it and we're rich. Well, that's great, but then you end up with Street Fighter 6, a fucking boring ass game that plays exactly the same for.
That sold millions and millions of copies, that still has money being put into it and behind it. Hence the reason why those new characters are being developed. Do you not see what, you know, whatever, I'll let you keep it. I'll keep letting you play your cards. It is what it is.
Everyone, that you get exposed within 2 to 3 weeks, everything's known, and everyone's just bored and just wants another character, and they don't put out enough content to really satisfy the audience. That's what you'll get. That's your end result.
So is it that the game's bad or there's not enough content, i.e. Basically pay to win characters? Because now he's basically added a whole new element to his argument. So which one is it now? Is it that the game's boring? Is it because everything, your pay to win characters are getting basically scooped out? No pun intended. Getting scooped out as soon as they pop up? Or there's just not enough content at all? So which one of the three is it? It could be all three, I guess.
You dumbed it down to sell, and now the game sucks. It's Capcom's fault.
I thought it was the content creator's fault for putting out the information in the tech. Oh no, we got to spread the blame out now. Okay, I get it. I get what he's trying to do. No, I don't get what he's trying to do. It's fucking stupid. He's just trying to cover all his bases so no one can come back on him. It's lame and it's cowardly.
There you go.
He should have led with that, but he didn't. Because as the chat went on, people started to call shit out, so he had to try to pivot. Not adapt, but he had to try to pivot to keep his narrative.
Okay. All right, folks. I got some more contributions. We got a $2 super chat from Hello Voltage. Which bills are your priority right now? What are you talking about?
Should be all of them.
What?
But his WWE champion bill, I assume, is probably the priority number one. Then it's probably the Total Wine bill after that. And then it's the DoorDash monthly stipend after that. And then it's everything else.
What bills are my, I don't have, I pay all my bills. I don't have priority of bills. They all get paid. I don't even know what that even means. Why would you even ask me that randomly on a stream?
And actually, I can tell you what that person's referring to. Well, I can give you my idea of what they're referring to. Back in what was that, 2017, Save the House, so on and so forth. He had to prioritize what bills had to be paid, so on and so forth. Nice little throwback that he sat there in memory hold so he don't have to address it. I'm just saying, if he supposedly, understands his folly and his failures and whatever, he should be able to face it. Yeah, well, not everybody's built like that, I guess.
It's a bizarre question. Got a couple small tips here. Do I think accessibility in games should go away? No, not at all. That's not the problem with Street Fighter 6.
You just said that everything's being dumbed down and whatnot. You do know that they did make modern mode for not just people to have an easy access in, and then they can move the classic mode later, but also for those who have some type of disability, usually physical and whatnot. It gave them a chance to participate and try to build up. And if they chose to move into classic mode later when they felt more comfortable, they could do so. But then again, DSP wouldn't tell you that because DSP don't know that. But whatever, it is what it is.
There's a difference between accessibility, and that accessibility is someone has like a physical handicap and they want to enjoy a fighting game, versus actually just making the game so piss easy to play, no challenge at all. And that's Street Fighter 6 in a nutshell. That's the problem with Street Fighter 6. It's
almost like this dent doesn't realize that there are two different modes. There are classic mode and then there's modern. It's almost like he's purposely memory holding that shit so he don't have to actually face it. It's kind of strange. I expect it from a liar, though.
Too easy.
Sweaty, greasy.
No, modern controls didn't ruin Street Fighter 6. That's not true. At first, everyone thought they would. Everyone thought the game would become way too easy. But at this point, no, I don't think so. Now that we're this far into Street Fighter 6, how often do you see
Oh, so now you got to pivot though from the whole handicap thing. I see. Not very good. You should have yet again. You should have had that in your original point. Instead, you ain't let someone in the comment section or in the chat, I should say, basically trigger your ass, and now you got to say it. That's pretty pathetic, Phil. Almost like you're not as smart as you think you are. Womp womp.
modern control players dominating? You don't. And they even allow it in tournament and it just doesn't dominate. So I don't think that's the case at all.
It kind of wasn't meant to, though, to be honest. Modern controls was never meant to do that. And don't get it twisted. I mean, you'll find a lot of guys online in those high ranks, especially in Master, who are fucking around with that modern controls. So don't be wrong, it can carry you super fucking far if you allow it to. But even then, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have to go through the motions, that means you have to think more, obviously. So there's that.
It's not the controls and the inputs, it's the engine. The engine is too easy to learn and just pattern play it.
I thought you just said the controls were too easy too, and that's why the controls and the execution needs to be harder. Did we forget our own narrative already? Maybe we did.
And there's no real high-level skill checks in the game at all. There's zero high-level skill checks in the game, actually.
And yet he can't succeed. Why? Just saying, if the game is dirt easy, why isn't he succeeding? Don't worry, I'll wait. Copes it.
Do I think physical skill checks are different from mental ones? Yes. Because there's a difference between having to get execution of timing and skill with your hands and brain versus actually having the knowledge to know what to do. Like, I can tell you this, playing Super Turbo, probably the hardest I've ever played was against Dom Dai. And it was during the qualifiers for SBO.
That's funny, because I thought the hardest match you said you had was against Takedo. Or whatever. It is what it is. Your supposed eternal rival and shit, when you guys were never a rival. Or rivals, if you will. He just was better than you. I honestly don't think that John was ever a rival to you. I think John was just better than you, to be honest. I don't know about Howard so much, so I can't speak on that part. But I think John certainly was a better player. And in some ways, I can't prove this, of course, but in some ways, I think John was willing to dumb himself down just so DSP could digest where their skill levels were at. So let's remix that. I think John held back to allow DSP to believe that they were closer in skill than they really were. That's my thoughts. But then when Super Battle Opera happened and the qualifiers happened, you know, fucking John had to shoot his shot and he did, and he won. So womp womp to that.
Way back when, I think it was like...
And then if you look at how DSP plays Dazm, he tries to emulate John's style. The thing is John doesn't have nearly as many holes and whatnot. That's something that I've really noticed after watching some of John's gameplay over the years. John doesn't have nearly as many holes. He actually has a good rhythm when he's going through his moves and shit, and his lockdowns in particular. DSP don't. Just because you know the button presses doesn't mean you understand the rhythm. So with that being said, you're already missing a critical part of it.
2011 was when we went to Tennessee and we were playing on cabinet, and it was me versus Dom Dai, and I was using DJ and he was using Ryu. Okay. And let me tell you, that was insane, because actually here's what happened. Okay. I was playing Dom Dai, and to win that match, you have to play incredibly hard to win with DJ. You can win. It's a winnable match, but you have to play incredibly hard.
So that could be said for any match. Just saying.
So we started. And when we actually started, I was playing at an incredibly high level, and I beat him the first round or game, if I remember correctly. But I became so mentally drained. Like, it was actually taking everything I had to stay on that mental level to say...
You sound like a fuckboy. That's what you sound like. You beat him one match, and then you sat there and got yourself into mental exhaustion, basically. And then he basically failed. He basically faltered everywhere else. Interesting. It sounds like you're not very good at pacing, which may explain why Panda walked out of that bedroom unsatisfied. Cat too, now that I think about it. Yeah, that explains a lot, Phil. You front loaded everything and thought that that was going to somehow mentally break that person or throw them off, and instead you only fucked yourself. Okay, Phil, this is May 1st all over again, apparently.
What's he going to do next? Predict what he's going to do. Okay, I see something, react to it.
Yeah, but you've never been one to predict anything. You can just react. Let me bring that part back. DSP doesn't predict shit. All he can do is react.
You have to play incredibly hard. So we started. And when we actually started, I was playing at an incredibly high level, and I beat him the first round or game, if I remember.
Not even the first set. I want you to think about this. Not even the first set. One game, possibly one round. And that was it. And he faltered. He went limp. He failed after that. Imagine that. 2 rounds is what he was good for. And then he ain't sat there and he ain't checked himself out. And I'm supposed to believe this guy's good. I'm supposed to believe this guy's above average. Okay. Sure. All right. No worries. It is what it is. It's a free country. They haven't taken free thought. They haven't taken the ability for you to think away yet.
Correctly. But I became so mentally drained. Like, it was actually taking everything I had to stay on that mental level. To say, what's he going to do next? Predict what he's going to do. Okay, I see something, react to it. Perfect reaction. Break the throw. Do this. And it was so challenging that after I think I beat him like the one match or one round or one set, because I can't remember, it was so long ago, I just couldn't do it for the rest. Like,
holy shit. Woo! Okay, so I mean, there's no so. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was a one-hitter quitter. That's literally what he is. He's a one-hitter quitter. He's been that his whole fucking life. So I'm not surprised by that shit. One round against a well-known player was all it took. That's all it took. And see, this is the reason why I harp upon, I wish I could find this that screenshot. But this is the reason why I harp upon constantly. And I continue. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for this person already, but it continues to grow. This is the reason why I have all this. I have all that respect and appreciation for Evil AJ, because Evil AJ said all those years ago, as this is someone had asked him, you know, hey, you've played Phil a couple times, what'd you think? And he said, I thought he'd be better. This is the reason why I harken back to that, because the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, is he's not. Is most of y'all who think that he's at least average, or well, above average, I should say. Those of you who think he's above average, you ain't falling for the marketing scheme. He's been repetitive enough about it that some of y'all believed it. Now, I have nothing against y'all. You have this free country. You have the right to believe or think however which way you want. But the reality is, he sold you a bad bill of goods, basically. He sold you tainted meat, expired pork, a rotten product, one that he himself can't even live up to. After one round, I'll be generous, I guess. After one match, not even a set, after one match with a person, he was so mentally drained and fucked up that he couldn't even finish out the rest, and he got beat. And I'm supposed to believe that this guy can beat fucking low tier god in a long set? That's what I'm supposed to believe. I'm supposed to believe that this guy right here has the mental dexterity, the mental endurance, that he's going to be able to go up against low tier god in multiple sets, across multiple games. And his one game that he's supposedly a specialist in, couldn't get it done there. I want you to really think about that. I really want you to take that in. I want you to let that swim through your noodle for a bit. That's what I'm supposed to believe. All right.
For SBO, way back when, I think it was like 2011, was when we went to Tennessee and we were playing on cabinet, and it was me versus Domdai, and I was using DJ and he was using Ryu. Okay. And let me tell you, that was insane, because actually, here's what happened. Okay. I was playing Domdai, and to win that match, you have to play incredibly hard to win with DJ. You can win. It's a winnable match, but you have to play incredibly hard. So we started. And when we actually started, I was playing at an incredibly high level, and I beat him the first round or game, if I remember correctly. But I became so mentally drained. Like, it was actually taking everything I had to stay on that mental level to say, what's he going to do next? Predict what he's going to do. Okay, I see something, react to it. Perfect reaction, break the throw, do this. And it was so challenging that after I think I beat him like the one match or one round or one set, because I can't remember, it was so long ago, I just couldn't do it for the rest. Like, I actually became so mentally exhausted. It wasn't that I was physically exhausted. My hands were tired and I couldn't play. My mind actually became 100% drained. And I was like, the only way that I could play at that level endlessly would be to keep challenging myself to play people of that high level all the time, which just wasn't available to me.
You weren't good enough anyway. You'd literally be a waste of their time. You're literally a combo dummy. So no, it didn't matter. He could have played Justin Wong every fucking day, and I still don't think he'd beat Justin. I think if Justin was willing to do a Make-A-Wish Foundation type situation and play DSP for every day for 3 months, I don't think DSP has a snowball chance in hell of beating him. Let alone do I think he has a snowball chance in hell in beating other top players or just well-rounded players. He literally lacks the mental dexterity. He's literally telling you this. He wasn't mentally strong enough to be able to beat somebody past, a match. After that, he completely faltered. Think about that. Think about what this mental midget monkey ain't sat there and told you. And yet I'm supposed to believe, and I guess apparently you guys are supposed to believe it too, that he should be able to be taken seriously in the FGC. That he has the knowledge, the experience to be able to contend with, or to be able to trade at least stories with some of the top players in the world, when he himself was never one, by the way. He was a never was, right? A never could be, to be honest with you. And he thinks he has the nerve, he thinks that he has the right, that he should be taken up, that his opinion should be held up there with the heavyweights, with actual champions. That's what this idiot thinks. His word should have the value of someone like a Justin. An actual multi-time champion over multiple years, over multiple generations. Or he should have the respectability of someone like Max, who has, or Maximilian, who has sat there and played multiple games, right? Who has spoken about those games, who has actually had a chance to talk to the developers, who have valued his input and even tried to implement it, or some of it anyway. He thinks he should be up there with them. He thinks he should be up there with James Chen and Ultra David, you know what I'm saying? Guys who have announced for years, those who have really deep character knowledge as it pertains to not just one fighting game, but to multiple games. And DSP believes that he should be held up with them. When DSP can barely handle his own little game that he's supposedly supposed to be a specialist in. He's not even a specialist in it. It's just the one game that he saw a little bit of results in. Couldn't even duplicate those results, let alone exceed them. And this is what we're supposed to be respecting. Okay, sure, I guess.
I didn't have people of that high level of Super Turbo to play all the time. I wasn't interested in investing that much time into it because I was...
So wait, so first, I didn't have the people of I didn't have enough people around me of set caliber to do it. Second, I didn't really care to do it anyway. So which one was it? If you had those caliber of players around you, you would have done so? Or did you never really care to do it? Because I'm sorry, I'm going off what he's saying.
A YouTuber at that time, and I wanted to put more time into my videos. So I got so tired. I was like, that was it. I didn't tap out. I played and finished the set, but he beat me. I couldn't play at that level anymore. I literally, the first set was superb perfection, and I kicked his ass. And then after that, I just got increasingly more sloppy and fell apart and lost.
Doesn't sound like perfection. It sounds like a fluke. It sounds like a fluke. I could even make the argument that because it was a long set, that dude just dropped the game just so he could get a feel for what DSP's patterns and his tendencies were. And then cleaned up after that, which is not an unknown tactic. It's risky, but if you don't think the player is that good anyway, then what do you have to lose? And DSP is just the type of fucking retard to think, as he said, pure perfection, you know, that first round or that first game, he don't even want to remember it, to be honest with you. And then he got basically sweeped. He got scraped. from there on out. Doesn't sound like he was really that good, to be honest with you. It sounds like coke to me. It sounds like he altered a memory to fit his narrative, and so he could sleep at night. Well, besides the gin and tonic, of course, that Tanqueray and Sprite. This is me though. I'm just guessing. But I could be wrong. That 1.75 liter though with the handle is always around. Don't ever get that twisted.
So mental fortitude and mental stamina is something very different.
And apparently you have neither. So imagine that.
Than physical, for sure. It's completely different.
And didn't you have to pull out of a tournament after you got your ass beat because you supposedly had some type of like stigmatism or some shit in your thumb and whatever? And you spent the rest of the time in your hotel room bitching and complaining and playing some game that wasn't a fighting game? So he didn't even have the physical attributes to make it happen. Okay, are we going to keep making excuses for him, or are we just going to call a spade a spade? Just asking.
Would I enter a tournament? Would I ever enter a tournament again? I don't know.
No, he wouldn't.
I said probably the only reason that I would ever enter a tournament again would be like the last hurrah. Like, this is it for me. I'm really never going to care about it ever again. And people, since I've been a
Supposedly you don't care about it now, so why would I expect you to care any more about it later?
YouTuber, people have always said, would you ever go to a tournament? Would you enter? And I'm like, I just don't like the fighting games enough to do it. You know, think about...
i.e., I'm not good enough at any particular fighting game to where I think I have a fucking a puncher's chance.
Since I've been a YouTuber, what fighting games have been out, right? Well, there was Street Fighter 4, and I did enter tournaments and stuff for that in the vanilla phase, but then...
Yeah, to steal people's footage. We saw how that played out, though.
After it got to like Super and like the third version of it, I stopped playing it, right? I would only play it casually at home. I would not enter tournaments. Marvel 3 and Ultimate Marvel 3, I never liked. I did try tournaments in those. I just never liked the game. So I never really continued to play that. Then we had the reboot of Mortal Kombat, which I enjoyed playing. But again, I never felt at a competitive level that I was something that I was interested in.
You never played Mortal Kombat at a competitive level, and he admitted this. So womp womp to that either which way. Oh, and as it pertains to Ultimate Street Fighter 3, just in case you don't know, I'm sure Alt will get to this eventually. But when it was either Marvel 3 or when Ultimate Marvel 3 came out, I want to say it was Ultimate Marvel 3, but I could be wrong. Wouldn't be my first time. When that game came out, there was a lot of hype around it, and he wanted to go back onto the tournament scene so he could get footage and whatever. So he would travel to all these different tournaments, get all this footage and post it. He was essentially going to use stolen tournament footage, not his own footage, right? Not just footage of him playing, but other people's matches that he can get. He was going to use that, and that's if he was even going to compete. He was going to use that footage to put on his channel to generate revenue so he could go across the tournament scene that year. And obviously that didn't happen because he got called out. He either got called out or he just got busted up, not physically, but in the game, like his first tournament of the season or the second one, and he just gave that up. So just keep that in mind. That's a nice little tidbit there.
We had Injustice, which again was the same, fun to play online and mess around with, but I never cared about competitively. We had various Tekken games, Tekken Tag Tournament 2, right, which I did play for a while online, but again, I'm not a Tekken tournament player. Same thing with Tekken 8, like I liked it, but I would have had to invest so much time and energy into it to get good at it that I wasn't going to be able to play any other fighting games, so I didn't do that. Street Fighter 5, I absolutely hated, didn't care for at all.
The reason why that was because he thought it was going to be the second coming of Super Turbo. I can't remember who it was that told him that. I want to say it was like in an Ask the King or like a Hate Live or some shit. Or someone told it, or someone mentioned it to him on stream or under one of his videos, and then he talked about it in like a weekend preview or some silly shit. Like I have to go back and look. I know I have it on a hard drive somewhere though. But he thought it was going to be the second coming of Super Turbo, and it wasn't. Because he was super hyped for Street Fighter 5. Even after the beta. So he was super happy about that shit. But it didn't pan out because it just wasn't good enough. And he wasn't willing to learn. Which is another problem that Phil Burnell has. It's not just the fact that he's not good enough, out the gates. But he's not willing to learn. He's not willing to learn anything new.
Of course, there's Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which no one cared for, right? And then there's Street Fighter 6. So out of all the games, that I basically played during my YouTube era, and there's been others in there too, like Dead or Alive and dumb shit like that. But really, Street Fighter 6 has been the only one that's really been prominent enough that if I actually cared enough about it, I would enter a tournament, but I just don't want to.
Prominent enough? So, i.e., anything that he thought he could get clout off of. But since he's not good enough, he's not going to do it. Womp womp.
I don't want to play it to the level where I have to have massive meta studied, the muscle memory, sitting in the lab.
So you're lazy and stupid. Okay, gotcha.
Fucking around, going to tournaments, playing offline. I just don't care, you know? So to me, like, if ever I was to enter a tournament again, it would probably be like an old school tournament, like Super Turbo.
They have those all the time, and he's not going to compete because all those guys he played with back in the heyday, those guys were animals. Those guys were animals back then, savages. To be honest with you, they're even better now because they kept playing, as well as playing other games, which allowed them to kind of expand upon what they initially thought about Super Turbo and then be able to build upon it. Like, there are dudes out there who really got that game cracked. He can't compete with none of those guys. This coward won't even go on fucking Fightcade because he knows he's going to get his ass cleaned up. It's nice and convenient to use the excuse of detractors, trolls, haters, and critics going after his IP, DDoSing him, and all that shit. He can jerk that off until the cows come home. Sorry, I mean his wife. Whatever. But the reality is that he just can't compete. He just can't. There's not a game out there, a fighting game, I should say, though a game period, but there's not a game out there he can't compete in at any type of level. This is the same ass clown who rage quit fucking Super Mario World, or not Super Mario World, but Mario Kart World. I'm supposed to think that he's going to be able to compete in a game that some of these people ain't devoted damn near 25 years to? Yeah, nah, Slim. I don't think so. That's not a thing. Not in this life or the next.
Or Marvel 1, or Marvel 2, or Third Strike. Something to that effect would be probably what I would want to enter. And it would probably be like a last hurrah event for me, like me saying, this is it. This is officially my final tournament. I don't have any desire to play this stuff competitively anymore. So I'll play my absolute hardest this one time.
He'll get bombed in pools. I guarantee you. He won't even make it to brackets. He'll get bombed in pools.
Just get it all out of my fucking system. And then I'm done. That would probably be the only situation. You probably would never see me playing one of these brand new fighting games at a tournament. I just don't care. But maybe one of the old ones, okay?
Yeah, no.
No, I was never good at Soul Calibur. I was never in any circles. I was never in.
Yeah, if he was first, he definitely wasn't good at Soul Calibur. That's far too complex. I mean, shit, he can't wrap his head around Virtual Fighter, and he can barely accomplish anything in Tekken. And if that was the case, he would have ran in the Aries or avoid the puddles at one time or another, and them boys would have cleaned his ass up easy. So that's not a thing ever.
Any circles where basically anyone really played Soul Calibur at a competitive level. No.
And it's funny too that he has to have the codependency of the people around him had to be playing that game at a competitive level so he could compete. Isn't that weird? It's almost like what I said about fucking T. Carter, R.I.P. to him. If T. Carter didn't die, DSP literally said this. If T. Carter didn't die, DSP said that he would be one of the best players in Super Turbo. It's really weird that you have to be dependent on another person to be good. That's real strange. It's real odd. That's real weird. You know what I'm saying? Real weird. Real weird. Unfortunate.
Let's see here. Spawn Killer says, I remember when you said you were offered to go on WCG Ultimate Gamer. Yeah, I was. Back in the day when I was becoming a pro.
There's no proof of that, by the way. Or at least not that I know of. I'm sure he announced it, but there's really no proof. Not that I've seen. To be honest with you. He never, as far as I know. As far as I know. Because I don't think I've given too much thought into looking it up. But he's never shown any proof of that either. You know what I'm saying? What's the harm in showing an email? We already know Justin went on it anyway. So, what's the harm in that?
Prominent YouTuber. So probably the first few years, when I was still on the Dark Side Field channel, I had just gone to DSP Gaming, and DSP Gaming was blowing up, and I had partnered with Machinima, so I was just starting to make money. I got contacted by the runners of Ultimate Gamer, and they said, would you want to be on our reality show, our gaming reality show? And, I went back and forth with them for a little bit about it, but I didn't get too far into the discussion. It was
money. I guarantee you it was money. I guarantee you it was money. Just like with anything else. And they were like, hey, man, this is going to give you exposure. Maybe they paid back in those days. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I do know that for Justin, that's what propelled Justin into, like, that really propelled Justin in social media, at least in its early stages, and at least made him popular. It also made a lot of connections. You know what I'm saying? That was probably one of the best decisions that him and Triforce ever did, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there.
Very basic. It was like, oh, thanks for contacting me or whatever. And we you know, we were cordial back and forth. But after maybe like one or two back and forth, I thought about it. I was like, I don't want to be on a fucking reality show. I'm making content for an audience. They really like the content I'm putting out there.
Coward. Yet again. It's funny though, like LTG did though. When they had the esports, the league for Street Fighter 5, LTG jumped at that fucking opportunity and shit. Then again, LTG kind of styles himself as an actor, so that kind of makes sense. But it also grew his brand, to be honest with you, for better or worse. For better or worse, it kind of grew LTG's brand and shit. So it's funny how DSP keeps crying and complaining about not getting all these opportunities, but Justin's been on television, Maximilian's been on television, IFC Yipes and Tasty Steve have been on television. A lot of guys have. LTG actually, like I said, I'm pretty sure I already named him. He's been on fucking television and shit. DSP hasn't. At a time that most people don't even remember. You can find Justin, though, in his appearance on there if you look. But, like, what purpose does that serve for DSP? Oh, well, I was offered once. All right, good for you. Did you go? No? Okay, well, I guess it sucks to suck, I guess.
And I get it. This could give me exposure.
Yeah, the same exposure that he used to cry and complain about, that all of the big gaming news sites at the time who had other content creators' videos featured on their channels or on their websites. He couldn't get any of his stuff featured. Well, you're a nobody. For the lack of a better term, you're a nobody. So why would they? So if you were looking for this exposure, if you feel that you deserved it, why didn't you do anything to get it? Why did everybody else have to do the heavy lifting for you? Makes you think.
To a whole new audience, right? But the reason they had contacted me is because I was actually more popular than the other people in the FGC at that time. Of course, now, fuck that. Now I'm not popular at all. But back then I was. I actually was one of the most prominent fighting game content creators on YouTube. People would come to...
I wonder why Max didn't get offered that, now that I think about it. Or maybe he did, and maybe he turned it down too. Now that I think about it. Because it's hard, because, I mean, even, it's hard for me to believe that... Yeah, I guess it's probably fair to say, I'm not going to call DSP popular. I would say DSP was probably more well-known. He was definitely infamous even back then. He was probably more infamous back in those days. And that infamy probably carried him a little further. Because Max would probably have been the better choice anyway. Between the two of them, I should say. He's far more clean cut. He's more presentable. He's more professional. He's more laid back. He's easy to talk to. He's a likable person. All qualities that DSP has never possessed. So, yeah. So if you think about it, DSP could have boasted that, oh, when they had LTG up there for esports, the league, and he was supposed to be painted out to be the bad guy or yada, 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 yada. Well, there was a game show back in the day. They wanted to do the same thing with me. I was the archetype. But because he's stupid, he's not going to be able to think that far, so womp womp to that.
DSP Gaming and then later DSP Street Fighter to watch endless amounts of fighting game content that I would pump out. Sets, you know, offline, online, all kinds of content. I did it with FGC back then.
That's until he gave up on DSP Street Fighter because he couldn't get the same amount of money that he was getting for DSP Gaming. So he thought, so since they wouldn't pay him the same amount, oh, I'll just front load all my FGC stuff to my main gaming channel. My main gaming channel, and I'll just get paid that way. Yet again, another example of him flooding his channel with slop content. It already had a place that he could have put it, where he could have made some good money and build up that channel and build up its value, more importantly. Didn't do it because he wanted short-term gains over longevity, basically. And Womp, 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 womp. Imagine that. Fucking idiot.
So because I was one of the most prominent ones, they wanted me on the show. They didn't care that I wasn't a current pro player. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted whoever was popular. So they reached
But you weren't popular. You were just well known. There's a difference.
out to me, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't think so, because I would much rather just do my own content, see where it takes me.
Where did it take you, Phil? Oh boy.
And I didn't really want to care about appealing to the FGC, because that's really why they wanted me on the show.
What? No. Okay, first off, if I remember correctly, this show was like multiple games, right? It's supposed to be about multiple games and how well you'll do. I guess they looked at him as a representation of the FGC, maybe not, whatever, and they put him in there. The appeal wasn't supposed to be about the FGC, retard. It was supposed to be how good you are over multiple games. There was far more upside and appeal from other gaming genres that DSP could have had, instead of the dumb shit that he's sitting here trying to say now. Now that's even weirder, because let me bring you in on the shit. So what about when he went to that Screw Attack convention, and they had that Iron Man tournament where you played multiple different styles of games and this, that, and the third, right? He didn't mind doing that. He was okay with doing that. And that was kind of the same thing as this, except for it wasn't an actual reality show, but you know what I mean? It was a tournament. There's footage out there. You can find it. So he didn't mind going ahead and putting his chips into that. But he didn't want to put his chips into this thing right here because he didn't want to appeal to the FGC, which wasn't even his purpose anyway. And then he's so short-minded or short-sighted and small-minded that instead of seeing if he could appeal to other gaming genres, which was supposedly his wheelbarrow anyway, his stock and trade, or he wanted to become his stock and trade, but yet he's hyper-focused on trying to get back at the FGC and show that he's worth a damn in his own mind. This is no different than that 18-month beef he had with Stuttering Craig, when in actuality it was one-sided. Stuttering Craig was like, I haven't thought about you in 18 months or 16 months, whatever it was. And DSP was like, no, yeah, sure you don't. You think about me. No, that was DSP saying that he was thinking about Stuttering Craig for 16 to 18 months straight. DSP's not straight, but you know what I mean. Wild shit, bro. Wild shit. I didn't want to appeal to the FGC. It wasn't even a thought. So yeah, don't worry about that. So you fucked up an opportunity, a good opportunity, I guess. Well, it was good for Justin, but Justin was good at making good decisions. So you fucked up an opportunity for yourself on what you were trying to build because you didn't want to appeal to the FGC. Take this in. I want you to hear this again.
Care that I wasn't a current pro player. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted whoever was popular. So they reached out to me, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't think so, because I would much rather just do my own content, see where it takes me. And I didn't really want to care about appealing to the FGC, because that's really why they wanted me on the show. They wanted me to be like the FGC guy, but he's also controversial and stuff like that. And I thought about it, I just don't care. Like, I knew at that time I didn't want to be just FGC content, that I wanted to branch out and do variety content. And that's what I was doing. So I felt like it would have been misrepresenting who I was, because they were going to present me as the fighting game guy on the show.
Is this the same idiot who went on YouTube and said, I am a former pro fighting game player? That was a thing, right? I didn't make that up, did I? I didn't pull a duty, did I? Did I lie? No? Okay. I'm just making sure, because I'm pretty confident that's how DSP promoted himself, as a former pro fighting game player. I could be wrong, though. Maybe I made that up.
And I was like, nah. So I said no. And then after that, they reached out to a few other people, and they ended up getting Justin Wong. And Justin was the guy that they had on that season of the show instead of me. But I didn't care. All that reality shit was stupid. They were all trying to copy the TV shows of the time, and they didn't have budgets, and the shows were staged and shit. They were really lame. So I'm glad that I wasn't a part of that.
Yeah, he could be a fake fraud and a poser on his own. Who needs national coverage when you can lie on the internet for free? Oh, amazing shit. Amazing shit. Oh, that cope at the end too about the cope at the end about not going on the show. It's all staged. It's all fraudulent. I didn't want to be. Yeah, Phil, I got you. You can be bad all on your own. I get you. I get you. No worries. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give you guys final thoughts, and and I'll let you guys go. Big ups to Raw Phil. Big ups to Diggs. Okay. Holy shit. Okay, so the mental gymnastics about the Street Fighter 6 shit, the Street Fighter 6 circumstances and whatever, the piggybacking off of Sanford Kelly, it's just gatekeeping. The whole, that whole period, where that whole button check thing was about, for DSP at the very least, it was all about gatekeeping. That's all it was. That's all it ever was. It was him trying to justify gatekeeping without coming out and saying it because he's a coward. And that gatekeeping is theoretically anti-community if you think about it. Kind of, sort of, actually, to be honest with you, because like for DSP, like him getting up and out of the FGC was probably the best thing that happened for the FGC, because he's trash and he's only going to bring the community down. You could say the same thing for people like Leffen. Leffen's a fantastic. Look how he fucked up the fucking Smash community and shit, and now he's desperate to try to get into any other game outside of that to try to make a name for himself, but he's all fucked up, not just physically. I won't get into that because that really is his own business and shit. But he's kind of fucked up physically, and he's kind of got issues. And that he fucked up his reputation and shit. His reputation is fucking trash, to be honest with you, to where any community that he goes into, one, he's not good enough, and two, he gets mocked. You know what I'm saying? He had a chance in Dragon Ball Z Fighters maybe in that early year, but the Japanese ended up overtaking his ass. He tried to play Street Fighter 6 this year, got cleaned up, and then quit and whatnot. True coward shit. Might have been another game or two that he tried to compete in, and he's just not built for it. And I'm saying, fuck, he won Guilty Gear that one year, and then the next year he couldn't replicate it. I think he made top 8 the year after that, and I don't even know how he did this year. So it is what it is. So Leffen's another fucking shit stain on the FGC and whatnot. He's just far more popular than DSP. One can make the argument he's far more skilled, but he's still a piece of garbage nonetheless. I would argue that Leffen's actually worse. If you know what Leffen's actually done. But that's neither here nor there. It's personal opinion. Personal opinion. But as it pertains to DSP, like I said, it just comes down to gatekeeping. And even the standards that he's trying to put out there, that he believes the FGC should abide by, he's not even good enough for that at all. Not even close. He's not even close to what his own standards are and whatnot. So it's very clear that he's not going to really want games to abide by it. He would pick up a game, play it for a week, and then drop it, which he's been known to do. So, nah, not at all. Not at all. And then, interestingly enough, too, outside of the gatekeeping, the situation with the TV show, where he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to represent the FGC. Why is that the first thing on your mind? Why you didn't think about trying to expand your own brand, right? You had a pretty bad reputation, not only in the FGC, but on YouTube at that time. That might have been a nice PR situation to clean it up. But see, you're a piece of shit, and you know you're a piece of shit, and you were scared that you were going to go up there, you're going to show your ass because you can't control yourself, and now that should be seen on television. That's what you were scared of. That's what you're scared of. That's the same reason why he won't go to any other tournaments and shit. His reputation precedes him, and that there's no game he can compete in on any level, let alone a high level. There's just no game he can play at, or he can compete at. So that's where his issue is there. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, is he's a never was. He's not a has-been. He never was. It is what it is. And by him wanting to raise the skill ceiling, he'll be the first victim of it. So that FGC guillotine that he's so eager and desperate in a lot of ways to have constructed, he'll be the first one under it. If anything else, his pig blood in Minecraft will be the first thing to christen it. I don't know. Maybe he shouldn't work against his own self-interest. But by DSP's very nature, that's what he does. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be. Hopefully sooner than later. Wild, man. I've honestly never seen anybody work against their own self-interest as vehemently, as passionately, as voracious as Darkseid Phil. I've never seen nothing like that before at all. And I've seen a lot of people fucking shoot themselves in the foot at various levels for various reasons, but not like him. Not like that. That's something that is very much unique to him. But whatever, make of that what you will. In any case, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be, hopefully sooner than later. This has been the Snort Report. This has been DSP News. Always late, never breaking, unreliable coverage that you can't count on. Oh, yes, a GTG network of productions. For the Snort Report, Heart Snorts Gin and Tonic, Tim Snortons, and as well as SnortBucks Coffee Company, the best beverage company, and all of our other subsidiaries and affiliates, I've been your host / anchor, GTG, and I'm signing off. Take care of yourselves, people. Take care of yourselves, people. Later.
This is the love we